kneeled on one knee, my face towards the sky. To you I will confess. Can you hear me?
Welcome to the Tony Gomez Show, you guys. Thanks a lot for joining me tonight. It's Monday night. What we're looking at, August 3rd. No, excuse me, August. I'm jumping ahead.
June 3rd.
June 3rd.
June 3rd.
June 3rd. Hell yeah. And in the house today, let me start right here to my left. Gerald Betty, drums, right?
No, guitar.
Guitar. Yeah. Hey, okay, great. Dan Pretzer in the house and Richard Getald, all three guys from Action Get Action. Guys, thanks for joining me in the studio today.
Absolutely.
Good to have you. I was hoping you're going to wear that Integrity stuff where you had like the line on your forehead.
Yeah.
Because when you played at Mulligan's, my buddy and I was like, he looks like one of the creeps from Death Wish 3. And we kept going, they raped her. It's
one of the thugs.
Yeah, it's like, I thought you said she had a broken arm. And I just remembered that. And I was hoping you're going to, like, I talked to you earlier, I was hoping you're going to have your full makeup,
shit.
or at least the lines. But I was like, it's okay. Or at least leather pants or something.
And well, you couldn't see the leather pants on here anyway. Who knows what I got down here?
I'm hearing leather, so I'll take your word for it. I think it's just the chair, man.
You better believe it. Guys, thanks for joining me here.
Thanks for having us.
I know we go way back, especially me and Rich, and then me and you used to work together. And
also, I saw you outside of Ray West when you were in Integrity, Ray West storage units, where everyone got their shit stolen.
Yes.
Because the Malons were practicing, we heard this awesome stuff. I look over, there's you and your classic, Tony stance. They were like,
yeah,
hey guys, how you doing? Fidel had that big old kit with a double bass drum, and Patrick, the drummer, was like, hey, play Hot for Teacher. He's like, all right. And he did like, yes. Because there's some other pop punk band that was playing there, and they had a double bass kick too. And we demanded Hot for Teacher, and the guy was stumbling, and we just got disgusted and left. But then you guys played Hot for Teacher to the point like, these guys are cool. Not only was the music was good, but doing like that. And then we realized we were dealing with professionals.
Oh shit! If only we were ever like anything close to that. But shout out to Fidel and all the guys from Integrity. Hell yeah, good times back there.
Love that shirt too.
Thank you.
What does it say on it?
It says Integrity.
Oh, interesting.
Evil is back, and in the back.
Ooh,
with pure
fucking power.
Yes.
Reminds me of that Stone Groove shirt, skull crushing shit.
Oh shit! I know what you mean. Yeah,
my buddy wore that to high school. He had to always wear a hoodie or something because
right. Someone's gonna get pissed off. Yeah, I know they couldn't handle it.
I had a Mother Love Bone shirt that's a half-ass Monkey Boy, and I had to put tape on the ass part. That was before I got into punk rock. We all went through a Mother Love Bone phase.
Yeah, man. We're thinking about you guys coming over. That's why I kind of pulled this one out of the archive. The old Integrity days were on my mind. I was thinking, golly, I kind of want to bring up some old shit. So we're gonna get up to speed to that here in a little bit. But let's go ahead and get some questions taken care of tonight in tonight's interview. All right. So if anybody's watching out there tonight, please chime in the chat room. Let me know who you are, and if you got any questions for the guys or want to talk some shit, just chime in and type away. All right.
Wait for that.
We'll see what happens. All right. Dan, how did Action Get Action form? How did it get started?
I think Gerald can kind of.
Is that right?
He tells the story better.
It was in November 2020, right?
Yeah.
I think, was it around Thanksgiving or around that time? Maybe a little before that. But that was when everything was shut down.
Really? Okay.
Well, during the pandemic.
During that time.
Yeah. So there wasn't a whole lot going on. And I just got a text, or I guess a Facebook message out of the blue from this guy, from Dan. And I'd known Dan for a long time, since 2009 or 2010.
Yeah.
And but we were friends, acquaintances and stuff, and I'd see him out and about, especially wasted at the bar. And then the thing that always stuck out at me is that he'd always want to talk about something heavy, but he's wasted, right? So he'd want to talk about like the Weimar Republic in the 1920s or something like that.
Damn.
And he could hold a conversation like that too. About something kind of esoteric and sophisticated. So anyway, I knew him about from that, and I knew that we were into the same kind of music, punk rock stuff and things like that. But anyway, he texted me out of the blue and invited himself over. He said, "Hey man, can I come over? We'll hang out, drink some beers, just shoot the shit or whatever."
Tell me how you got into punk rock.
Yeah. And then you came over and we just talked about stuff. We weren't talking about being in a band or anything like that. we're just talking about, you know, what music we like, you know, history stuff, I don't know, whatever. Just, shooting the shit.
Guy shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Girlfriends and all kinds of stuff. So anyway, you know, I don't know, you were there for several hours, and then one of the things I do remember, because I mentioned that I liked what you and Rich had done with the Real Gone Commandos. I'd seen you guys play at the Texan a couple times, and I liked your guitar playing, right? And so I complimented you on your guitar playing, and you just dismissed it. You're like, I'm a bass player. Yeah, I didn't think about it, you know.
Yeah.
And so anyway, you know, I played guitar for a while, but I'd never been in a band playing guitar. I've been in bands before doing other things, but not guitar. But
so you play other instruments?
I play the drums a little bit way back in the 80s, like in Vomit Spots, back in the day. But I'd been playing guitar for quite a while, but you know, not good, but learning. But I had an idea of what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
So anyway, Dan left, and as soon as he left, I thought, man, we should get a band together. Right? And I didn't say anything. I didn't text him that or anything like that. And then he invited himself over again the following week just to do the same thing.
Yeah. And
then when he walked in the door, the first thing he said was, "We should get a band together." And I'm like, dude, I thought the exact same thing when you left.
Because when I left that day, I was talking to girls day at time. I was like, he's gonna marry me. And she's like, what? I was like, I want to start a band with that guy. I was told like bands are like marriages, you know. And she was like, so I don't understand you. I was like, nah, I don't want to start a band with that guy. It's gonna be fucking hilarious. And she's like, all right, whatever. And then like when she picked me, and then I went back over there, and like you said, it was the first thing. All right, we're gonna do this. We need a drummer.
Then the second thing you said is like, but we need a drummer.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I said, I have a drummer, because I had another friend that these guys didn't know that I knew, and I knew from different circles. Yeah. And he was a drummer, and he's a good drummer, and he's out of the blue, right? I mean, just
not in the scene at all.
He never done.
Never been in a band. Nothing like
never. And you know, he'd only played drums like when he was in junior high or something like that. Okay. But he has this brain that just, you know, takes to that, right? To drumming. But he doesn't even really like music. He just likes playing drums, right? Cool. It was cool. So anyway, but Dan said, we need a drummer. And I was like, well, I got a drummer, right? So anyway, introduced then. And then it kind of meshed and went from there. Yeah. All right.
What's his name? The drummer.
Oh, Jano Andrasic.
Yeah. Jano Andrasic. Yeah. Does he still play for you guys?
No, he had to like kind
of obligations.
Yeah.
Family, so that was the original lineup, though.
Yeah.
And then that's how Rich got into.
It's funny because when we talked about getting a band, I thought about this guy. I was like, because I worked with Richard before, and it completely just escaped me. I was like, oh yeah, he does play drums, because I was in Real Gone Commandos with him for like a couple of years. And I was like, get with this guy, get with this guy, and then got that guy. And it's funny, and now it's like kind of full circle. It's like waiting in the wings. He was like the #1 draft pick. We had to like do some, it's just funny how things work out.
So I was at their like second rehearsal. I had already asked them to open for my band Columns at the Black Monk for our Thanksgiving show. We're releasing our first album.
Yeah, he put pressure on us.
That was at the Texan though, right?
He goes, you guys need to play.
Yes, this was at the Texan. So this was the year before we put out the album. So yeah, it was just a Thanksgiving show, I think it was. Right. And so I went over to the house to see, how they were coming, and I was a little surprised that they couldn't get through like the second song all the way through. Like they got through the first song and it wasn't too bad, but the second song they kept stopping. And I'm like, we're about a month out, guys. Are we going to be ready?
Yeah, but I told him, like, that's too soon, man. Like, no, you got to do this. We're like, all right. Because we need deadlines.
But fast forward to the show, they knocked it out of the park. Like, I went live, and my buddy Luciano, who was living in LA at the time, he was actually watching. He's like, who is that band? And he's seen a ton of bands.
Right.
So, like, when Luciano kind of perks up, I'm like, we're onto something here. Yeah. Because what they were doing, I have not heard that in Corpus. Maybe in Austin, maybe in Houston, and not even exactly like that, but definitely in the same realm, I guess. But what they were doing was really unique to Corpus, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, he's like, I want to be a part of this. Like, hey, give me a second. So like,
yeah. So I've seen probably about like I don't know, at least 10 shows that they've played, and we've done a number of shows together. Columns and Action Get Action. So I've gotten to see them really evolve. And what really impressed me about Action Get Action was they never did the same set twice. They were always adding new material, even if it wasn't ready. They were still. That was kind of how the Krayons were back in the day. We had over 100 songs, and most people have only heard 20. And we were so restless. We had 6 songwriters, so we just kept going. Well, in this band, it's just 2 guys. These guys were like just on fire. Every rehearsal, there's always some new idea, and they just keep rolling with it.
Yeah, like our first rehearsal with him, we wrote a song, and then we wrote like 7 songs. We've practiced with him like 5 times, like because we just don't stop. Like you talked about, like we just get bored. We're not like. Well,
I mean, it's not even that. It's just organic.
Yeah.
I mean, it just comes out.
It comes with something like, okay, it's neat because in all the other bands, we know it's like pulling teeth sometimes. It's like, oh, we got to construct a song. But with this stuff, it's just like it happens. Great. And we have no shortage of song titles or lyrics or ideas.
You have a huge backlog of stuff like that. I have a huge backlog of guitar riffs. And stuff like that. I mean, it's almost bottomless.
Yeah. The only problem we have is there's not enough time.
Right.
But then again, you don't want to be in practice all the time because then you get burnt out.
Right.
And he's like, I don't want to see these guys ever again.
Well, I like what Rich said that the set's always changing.
Oh, we have to.
And even if they're not ready, you're just throwing them out there.
Well, that's the only way a song gets ready.
And it gets
you can't just sit there and just ooh, look. You have to get it out there and
chisel it.
Yeah. You got to get out there and fuck around with it and see how it, get the dynamics right. Because hey, it's art, man.
And some of the arranging happens through mistakes. Exactly. Like there was one song where like I stopped, and I wasn't supposed to.
You dropped a stick or something.
Yeah, and they were like, "Oh, let's do that."
Do what?
So we incorporate.
Break.
Yeah, like so the bass is running and it's just Dan, and it kind of builds this tension because when I come back in, it's just like, oh, it's just very explosive.
You will make that exact face when you hear
it. That's cool. So, it's still evolving.
Yeah, that's how you have to be. Otherwise, like, I can't stand when bands come up with like 13 songs and they just sit on it. And they're like, well, no, a lot of bands it's like, why don't you write some new stuff? Well, it's like, what do you mean? It's like, I know you can't be busy every single second. Don't you think of something?
Something else got to be coming up, right?
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
What was I had something? I forgot. I don't know, but
I mean, even our old songs, we were adding new stuff.
Yeah, it's like Bob Dylan says, like songs never finished.
Oh, yeah, I like that too. Yeah.
But the thing about writing songs, it's not that difficult, and I don't understand why we're bands. I just can't, or they get trapped in a genre, or they have to make the mistakes like, well, it doesn't sound like us. It's like, what kind of excuse is that? It's like, just let it go where it goes.
Right.
That sort of thing.
Exactly. As the years keep going by, our flavors kind of change a little bit, and sometimes our style and our vision for the band will kind of tweak a little bit. Exactly. That's you.
Well, we always try to challenge ourselves too to come up with something different, like a different drum beat every time, or like a different type of riff every time, or
tempo change. Just something that just like, oh, that's difficult. Like we have this motto in the band, like, all right, it sucks now, but once we get it, it's gonna be rad, man.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's gonna make that face, like, ooh, that face. That's our goal. So we go, ooh.
So how long has Rich been playing drums so far with you guys? How many rehearsals?
About a month.
About a month so far. All right. And would you say you've got a whole set ready to roll?
We've got like 13 songs.
Yeah. 13.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we're ready.
And 6 of those are new ones.
No kidding.
That we just wrote. Yeah. We got 6.
All 6 are with Richard?
Now keep in mind that I have a previous history as a drummer. I was in the Golden Meanies, Real Gone Commandos with Dan for
so I've worked with him before, so we kind of
it was gonna jive real good.
And he and I have worked together for like almost 2 years, almost 3, about 3 years now. So there's that. So it's not as amazing as it sounds.
No, but the timing's right for Rich now.
Yeah, he's no spring chicken when it comes to the rock and roll thing.
Oh fuck no!
Anyway, I don't interrupt you, but go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, Tony and I, we actually go back to the late '80s.
Yeah.
When he was in Aggravated Assault, he was a drummer.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you could have asked him to play drums.
No, he's like in 1,000 bands. It's nice. I want him on. I love seeing Tony out in the front because I never know if this is going to be a show where he busts out the makeup again, man.
Yeah.
And the leather pants or the pleather pants because they're, Bidenomics or whatever. Leather's expensive.
I know exactly. We'll see what I got. We'll see what I can afford.
You can cut that chair up.
I need a good upholsterist.
There you go.
Man, I tell you what. Let's get started. Let's move on to my next thing. I want to start with Gerald. Tell me, Gerald, what got you? You told me you play a lot of instruments. What's your main instrument? Is it guitar?
Yeah, now just guitar. Yeah, I gave up on the drums a long time ago.
Don't you play clarinet too?
Yeah, right. No.
What was the first instrument, and who inspired you to pick it up?
Back in the day, this is back in the 80s when I was in college. Me and some buddies were on college radio, so we decided, well, we could do that, right? This punk rock stuff, and so we all got together. And I'd played a little bit of drums, like in junior high or something like that. But we had another guy, a friend of ours, who was a drummer, and so we kind of did like a two, I was like a percussionist kind of thing, like a 2-drum kind of thing.
Cool.
To kind of fill in some, I don't know, we were trying to make it like kind of heavier, I guess, or whatever. But so I did that, and then after I went to graduate school, then I dropped out of like playing music.
Okay.
For a little bit, for just like a couple of weeks, I was in a short-lived band in Amarillo when I lived in Amarillo. But I played the drums again then too. But then around the 2000 or so, I picked up a guitar because I always wanted to learn how to play. Yeah. And I just kind of taught myself as much as possible, right? And but I always knew that the way you really learn is you have to play with other people. You can't just sit there and tool around with them. I mean, you can, but it takes a lot longer. Yeah. And from my other band, we would get together and do these reunion shows every year, back through the 90s all the way to the 2000s and stuff. And our drummer, he always wanted another guitar player, so he always wanted a rhythm guitar player, right? He thought it would fill out the sound more. So when he learned I was learning how to play guitar, he's like, "Oh, dude, you got to play. You got to play the rhythm guitar parts." So that kind of frees up the lead guy and stuff like that. And so I was like, "Well, yeah, I'm not ready, but I could probably do it." Then years went by, and then our band had its 30-year anniversary.
This is the Vomit Spots, by the
way.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So we had our 30-year anniversary, and by then I could, I'd listened to all the songs that we recorded over the years, right, back in the day, and I figured out rhythm parts to those songs. So I started, doing that for the Vomit Spots and stuff. So I got better, right? I got better and better, and I was always in the meantime playing around, mainly playing around with sounds and stuff. But by the time Dan showed up at my door, I felt pretty confident, on the guitar for the most part, and I was real confident with being in front of people and stuff because I'm a professor in school, right? So when I taught at College Station, I taught at A&M Corpus too, but I taught at College Station. When I was at College Station, I had like 200, 300 students. So it's like a big, auditorium thing. Yeah. So that kind of helped with just being in front of people and stuff like that. And I was confident enough on the guitar by that time because I'd had several shows under my belt with the Vomit Spots on the guitar that, it just took off, when Dan came calling,
Wow.
I felt pulled.
How long did the Vomit Spots run go for?
Well, I mean, when I was there, I was one of the original members. In fact, I'm the person that threw up all over a carpet just like this. This bright red, like a Jungle Juice fraternity at our college had a hurricane party, and that's what it was. And so we were trying to come up with a band name at the time, right? Just
perfect.
It's like Vomit Spots, yeah. So
you got tenure, right?
Tenure, yeah. Here at Del Mar. Oh yeah.
That was a real political band name too.
Yeah. So that was in 86. Yeah. Actually 85 was when that happened. And we were getting the band together. And our first show with the Vomit Spots was February in 86. And then I was with them until 88, until I went to graduate school. And then those guys kept moving on. until they didn't. And that was by 92 or so. There was some things that happened, and they ended up, well, I mean, one of the things happened is that their drummer is from the Philippines. He got trapped over there because he didn't have a visa to get back over here. But they found a backup drummer, and they kept going. But then by 93, 94, it just kind of transitioned into reunion shows every year.
Oh, okay. All right.
We've been doing that for like over 20 years doing that.
Kick ass.
Yeah. So
and that's going well.
Yeah. We're going to be playing with Rich and Columns.
Yeah. We're going to be in Pensacola, Florida in a couple weeks. Mid-July. Yeah. So the documentary that I put together about the Corpus scene, I got asked to.
And what's the name of that documentary?
Subculture, the rise of DIY punk in Corpus Christi, 1985 to 1995. It's a mouthful, but I've said it so many times that I can.
You've got to see that, guys. You have to see that movie. Oh yes.
So and so we set up this kind of arrangement where like I'm going out there to present the movie one night, and then the night before we're actually opening for the Vomit Spots. They're from Mobile, Alabama, so that's like what 30 miles up the road.
No, it's about 50 miles. It's not much farther.
Yeah, but it's like really close, and so like they're really well known over there, and so like the woman who's organizing everything said, well, if you can get the Vomit Spots, I'm pretty sure I can get y'all a gig. So I was like, please guys. Right. So they were cool and agreed to do the show. I made
this happen.
They're actually
cool,
playing in New Orleans a couple of nights later though at a big festival.
Yeah, so. there's a punk rock festival in New Orleans called, I guess it's punk and kind of metal. It's called Creepy Fest. I don't know.
Creepy Fest. Yeah. Okay.
We played there last year. We played there a couple times before that too, because our singer Keith from New Orleans, he has connections.
Oh, nice.
Friendship connections and stuff like that. So
funny side story about the Vomit Spots, like because I roadied for them when they last
summer.
Yeah, he goes, it's gonna suck, man. It's gonna be horrible. I was like, all right, that's fine, whatever. And then they play. I was like, fucking liar, because they were so good. Like, boom. He goes, this never happens. I promise. I was like, tomorrow's night's gonna suck. I was like, all right. So we go to New Orleans, and once again, boom. I'm like,
yes.
I was like,
that's awesome. Hell yeah.
They actually played Corpus for the first time in 30 years in January. And I got there right because I had sessions at TFC that night. So I was kind of late. I got there halfway through their set, but the part of the set that I heard was really, really good. Like it was super tight. And you would think that they were a touring band instead of a band that just kind of pulled it together for this one show.
I was like, you guys, you just once a year and it sounded this good, but you're like, no, we don't, man. I promise this never happens.
I know, right? You don't want to take it for granted, man, right?
No, but it is crazy how good it is. We never practice. I mean, we all live in different places. So.
When you got it, you got it.
I guess
that's right.
But they had that great song about Axl Rose that I just fell in love with. They were putting together a set list, and one of the songs was it called Axl Rose?
Yeah, it's called.
I was like, what's that about? I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. And then like Keith was telling me what it was. I was like, ooh, it's like it was about this Axl Rose, cut your hair, Axl Rose, cut your head, I don't care. Talking about when you Vince Neil would go drive it, I'll bring the wine. I was like, God, that's so amazing because it's still relevant because those guys are back together.
Right.
And Vince Neil's fat. I was like, yes. The beast is dead, and they're still railing against it. And it's funny because the singer Keith does a perfect Axl Rose impression. He's got a ponytail because he used to have a mohawk, but I guess he can't do it anymore.
Yeah, right.
But he's just like, Axl Rose. I was like, yes.
Looking the whole package.
I just love it because it's like because they were there when Guns N' Roses was a problem. And I remember them, but I was too young to do anything about it. But they were of age where they could attack Axl in their own DIY way.
Yeah.
And so I love that song.
The very first time that the Vomit Spots played in Corpus, the Krayons opened up for them over at the Hacienda Warehouse. And what I remember most about that show was the Wham cover that they did.
Oh yeah.
This must have been before Axl Rose.
Careless Whisper.
Careless Whisper, yeah.
They do it note perfect too.
Yeah, we still do it.
Yeah.
Nailing it. Yes.
So you get two. That's what's so great about that band. One time they're attacking Axl Rose, other time embracing the LGBT community at the same time.
It's a whole package. Hell yes. Well, Dan, who inspired you to pick up the bass?
Because it has less strings. It was easy.
I get it.
But I started off playing I got into punk rock like in '94. like I heard the Ramones. I was like, oh, this is all right. That's fine. And then I heard the Nevermind the Bullocks. I was like, oh, there we go. This is.
That was more your taste.
Yeah, like this is because I met her at the Burger King. I was like, this doesn't help me. I'm like the classic outcast kid or whatever, which self-invention, whatever. But my brother had an acoustic guitar. Like, hey, show me how to play, man. I want to be a part of this. Show me a power chord. So I started a band 3 weeks later, but that didn't go anywhere. And then a year or so later, I was talking to my buddy who played guitar. We worked together at Schlotsky's. His name's Mike Zamora, and he's like, yeah, I want to get. I play guitar. I was like, all right, cool. I was like, okay, I got to get some equipment. So I went down to Sound Vibes. And I bought a bass and an amp for like $400. Wrote a check, and I asked the guys, "Is we allowed us to play shows?" There's a guy who sadly passed away. What was his name? The German guy.
Oh, Chip.
Yeah. He was like, "Well, first of all, you have the guy screaming, and then you have the drums which have no volume, and then it just kept going off." And I was like, "I'm in a jazz band." He goes, "Oh yeah, you'll be fine."
Yeah, there you go.
And then I just went home, and my buddy taught me how to play the bass line from from the Misfits. I just kept practicing that, and then then my brother got involved, and then we found a drummer who always wanted to be in a band with my brother because he heard some cassette that he did where he did "We Will Rock You" with it, but with the drum. It was just him, and the drums were just a cassette full. There was a drawer full of Atari cassettes. They would just open and close. Chicka 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 chicka. He'd be like, "Baby, you're a young man." And they just did the soloist. But I was like, "Boo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo." And he put it out. He just made some copies and gave it to my friends. And my buddy got a hold of it. And he goes, yeah, once I heard that, I knew I had to be in a band with your brother. So that all came together. And yeah, that's when I picked up the bass.
Wow.
Long story short, man.
But the name of that band was?
The Malones.
Yes.
We're named after that Burt Reynolds movie that came out in '87 called Malone. It was one of those ones that kind of went under the radar because we were walking through the video store and there's this Burt Reynolds movie where he's like, he has a shotgun and he has his whole big blood here, and there's a big fireball behind him, and we're like, the world's blowing up, but he's still shooting, and we were just trying to think of names, and Patrick just looked at me, and I looked at him, and was like, the Malones, and then we just went up from that.
And there is some archive evidence of their work.
I
put together a compilation, an international compilation around 2000 or 2001, and I accepted submissions. And I think I actually asked Dan. I'd heard it from Noah. Noah had a studio in the back of his house, and they had recorded there. And I heard that recording, and I said, I want that for my compilation. So I got a hold of your email somehow.
Yeah.
And that was our first interaction, in 1999 or 2000.
Yeah, I can remember, like, I followed up on an email, and you had some Krayons or something thing, and you talked about Tim Stiegel or something. You're all, back in the day, blah, 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 blah. I was like, what the hell is this? I don't remember any of that. And I was like, all right. I never heard of him. I heard of him but I never met the guy. And then I was like, okay. And that's a song that we contributed was Black Mustang, which is the car that Burt Reynolds drove in that movie. Because all of our songs were about that movie. We had a song called I Want to Be Malone. Here Comes Malone, Malone Zone. Malone Better Watch Your Back. Malone Warrior and all those other stuff.
I love it, man. I'm a big Burt Reynolds fan. I love Burt.
Yeah, like I had two copies of
Malone. What the fuck? That's definitely under the radar.
Yeah, I had a band post. I got the original theatrical poster that got destroyed, from traveling.
Yeah, and
I have two copies of it on VHS with two different covers. I'm like,
that is badass. I love it, and all the songs are about the movie,
about Malone. And when we would play, like we always cut the butt cheeks out of my brother's pants when we would play. And one time we wrote we put a pentagram on one butt cheek and then like a happy face on the other, and then drew on his back, "Baby, look at this." Yeah, and wrote "Death Before Disco" on his chest with a skull and crossbones.
You really gave him the treatment.
Tried to. It's visual.
It's rock and roll.
Yeah, I had to, because the songs weren't much, so we had to do something.
Put on a show, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
So
Rich, let me hit you up. Come on, tell me who got you started. Was it guitar?
Absolutely, yeah. I started off in the 5th grade at Chula Vista Fine Arts Academy, no longer in existence. But
alumni.
That's the only reason I play, is because I went to that school and I learned how to play, because I'm not musically inclined. I don't have anybody in my family that plays an instrument. So I had to go to public school to learn how to read music and be taught, time signatures and all that.
Yeah.
So I was, you take 2 music classes, and then art was mandatory, but there were a total of 3 arts classes. And so I would take guitar and orchestra. And so I learned how to play the cello and guitar in the 5th grade. And then I moved on into classical guitar lessons because once they get you in the program, they're like, they can tell who's interested, you know, and the kids that are, you know, really interested, they're like, they tell the parents, you got to get him into private lessons because he's going to really develop with the private teacher.
Like,
and that's very true. Yeah. It's like, they're trying to get you on the path.
Right.
And so, but of course I was always fascinated by rock and roll. I had older cousins that were going out to see the Ozzy concerts and, you know, Rush, you know, at the Memorial Coliseum. So I was just waiting. Like my dad was like, you know, one of those strict dads that said, no, you're 11 and they're 15. There's going to be grass and, you know, all of that. So I missed out on all of the best shows like the Iron Maiden, Scorpions Girls School concert.
So
I was crying my little eyes out, you know, Dad, let me go. But anyway, like so
grass.
MTV, of course, you know, was like a huge inspiration. So I remember seeing, you know, the Ramones on there. I remember seeing Angry Samoans do Time Has Come Today. And that video just like, what's going on here? Why are they so fast? Why is it so loud? Why is it so simple? All of these questions, right? And then, of course, you know, skateboarding. Going, you know, getting into junior high, there's skateboarding. The ramps were where the punk kind of music really made sense the most. Because, like, you would hear, you know, Iron Maiden, you know, the Trooper or whatever, and then somebody would switch it to, like, you know, Black Flag or Circle Jerks, and, like, everybody's just going more aggro and pulling these big airs and everything.
Now we're talking,
so that was, for me, that's where it all clicked. It was a very visual kind of moment. And then, you know, like, I started connecting with people around town who were into it. But, of course, our scene was really disorganized. I mean, I wouldn't even call it a scene. It was just people that were into the music. And then
different schools.
Yeah, different schools. Yeah, like I went to King, and then I knew some guys from Ray, and then of course, you know, the pure hate, brutal poverty guys over at Carroll.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. So like you had all of these. You know, I went to school with.
You had like Ed Miller. You had like the guys from Hypnotic State of Brewish.
Yeah, exactly.
Cryonics.
Yeah.
Ray was like Integrity,
Subversion,
Annihilator.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
It was
amazing. Like, you know, every school had their like little circle of bands, and they were competitive within that small circle.
Absolutely.
Even, you know what I mean? It's like they didn't even know about the bands across town because it was just like, no, we're gonna be better than Poetic Noise, you know, King. You know,
right.
that was our whole.
I went to the Bluff, so I don't know. Maybe you guys can tell me what bands came out of the Bluff, because the only bands I know that came out of the Bluff was like Skinny and Loser. No, not Loser, but Skinny. That was the only band, my friend's band. But that was like in '94. So, do you guys remember any bands that came from Flower Bluff?
I don't really.
I can't say so.
Not a punk band. I mean,
was there
like the?
It must have been a metal band or something.
Guns N' Roses band that Mike Schweikert was in.
That name sounds familiar.
But Jimmy Smithwick, I think, was in the band.
Okay.
We were talking about them the other.
Okay. Well, it's before the Really Rottens, right?
Yeah, but way before that. This was like 1990.
Dead Man's Hand. So they came from the Bluff.
I want to say that
at least one guy.
Somebody came from the Bluff. Okay. Bluff residents.
Yeah, the Bluff was just bereft of nothing. I guess it was.
No, there were people. I
know there's people, but like as far as like what you guys were into, I guess that never really. Of course, you had to go across the bridge.
I think it's, you know, you can kind of look at it almost like in volumes and population.
Makes sense. Yeah.
The Bluff had, you know, a smaller population. Corpus, you know, being still a little big town. Yeah. We had about 6 to 8
bands.
That
makes sense. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I remember Dead Man's Hand. Yes, I think Henry Flores might have even been.
Yeah, he's in there.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I saw a video. He has his shirt off. I was like, yeah, that's Henry.
Well, each area has its time, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because like in the '90s, I really feel like that was the time that the Bluff came about with Four Man March.
Yeah, Four Man March. Yeah.
That is like one of my favorite bands from Corpus, and then Cal Allen. With all of the bands that came out of
it. That's
Northwest, Corpus Christi, Golden Age, and the band that they were in before that.
Yeah, it seems like after about 95, 96, that's when the Bluff and Cal Allen came into it. Because I guess the other stuff filtered out. Because we started going to shows. I know a lot of my friends started going to shows in 94. So that would explain why these bands started happening after that.
Well, the other bands, like the older bands, just, we kind of moved on and everything. But Brutal Poverty kept it real the entire time. Like they just remained just doing their thing. They were doing their thing from like 86 to 2000?
Yeah.
Maybe even after that. I mean, they just never stopped.
Yeah, I remember the Malones played a show at Zeros, and one of the Brutal Poverty guys like, hey, we want to do a show with you. I was like, okay, we'll get your. I got one of their phone numbers, and I remember seeing one of the guys from Brutal Poverty at EJ's or whatever it was, Backdrafts. It kept changing names.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him, and then I was just kind of looking in the guy's direction. Like, hey, don't be staring at her ass. But he was just joking. And I talked to one of my friends. Like, yeah, I met one of the guys from Brutal Poverty. Like, oh, you gotta beware of those dudes. Old schoolers don't like it when you just stare or something. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I was like, shut the fuck up. That guy's what, 20? Oh no. It's like I'm 16. What the like, shut the fuck up, dude.
Yeah.
I saw him walking in the bluff the other day. He's all fat with a backpack. I was like, what's up, Mr. Scene? I got a car. Beep, beep. Need you ride? Can't help you.
Yeah. Hey, but thank goodness Brutal Poverty is back.
Yep.
Man, they are jamming.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I got them a show down in the valley. They'll be playing at the Hop Shop June 15th, if you guys happen to be in
Very cool. Yeah, weekend after next.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys going to be there with them?
Nah, we were supposed to, but we got lineup problems.
Okay.
But I said, like, well, I told the guys, like, well, we can't make it, but they can still make it because we were supposed to go together.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my debut will be on June
29th.
June 29th.
At Black Mark Tavern.
We are playing with Hickoids from Austin.
Okay.
They are like a legendary cowpunk band.
40 years, apparently. That's what it says.
From like the 80s. So right after the time of the big boys, like maybe like 85, 86 around. I think that's when they got started. But they've been around forever. I was in a band in San Marcos when I was going to college called Third Leg. And we were supposed to open for them in San Marcos, but something happened and we got bumped from the bill. So we had our own audience. So we said, you know what, we're just going back to the house and we're just going to get a keg. And we brought the crowd with us.
With your own show.
Yeah. We had like 100 people at the house because, we paid for a keg, who doesn't want free beer?
Keg. Like, we're going to bring, like I said, we brought a keg, but we figured we couldn't fit it in here. I don't know if you wanted to mic it or.
So I'm excited about finally getting to see the Hickoids after all this time because we went back to the house and I never got to see them play.
That's going to be very cool. Hell yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to get a show June 28th somewhere like out of town. So if anybody has any links, I've sent some feelers out because I really want our first show with Richard, Action 2.0 as I call it.
Yeah.
To play out of town. That way, if it sucks, nobody we know will see it.
Hey,
of course, nobody we know will see us here too, so it's awesome. Win-win either way.
His total argument is flawed because this is the age of social media. It's like people want to see train wrecks, and they're gonna go live with it.
That's true.
If a band self-destructs on stage, it's usually Facebook Live.
Well, I didn't go to music school, so you with your degree and stuff.
So one of the things that I really enjoy about their sound, even before I ever joined, was like they were really going for the latter period of Black Flag, like when they kind of discovered or decided to be like St. Vitus and they slowed down and sludged out and really just kind of like pounded the beat really hard, And
you're talking about like maybe like the Black Coffee kind of style.
Yeah, like post My War.
Yeah, My War. And
Anything with groove that gets the chicks dancing because chicks can dance to heavy music without being all. Because you can get girls to dance without being all. Hey, it's like
Modern Man, that kind of good stuff.
Modern Man, exactly.
Or
and that's just a
swinging man,
yes,
that type of stuff. Little off time, little dancing.
Yeah, that's just a starting point because a lot of their other ideas are, they use a lot of like really different time signatures. So like. It's more, I would say, 90s style in the way that I play. Like there are bands like Unwound and a band from Canada that nobody knows about, but they should. They're called Shotmaker, and I really love that.
Oh
band.
yeah, I showed. Remember, I showed Gerald some Shotmaker stuff because it has those nice little changes.
Yeah,
it's like, what you said.
So yeah,
good ideas right there.
So yeah, I was just definitely kind of picking up on what they were putting down and kind of like taking these kind of obscure kind of influences. Well, now Unwound just did like a world tour. Like last year, I was in LA and I got to see them play, and they went all the way. I think they went to Europe even. So
damn.
Yeah, they got back together, and they sometimes getting the band back together pays off very handsomely.
Right.
So it was very cool to see them. Yeah, but so yeah, I was kind of really picking up on some of the more esoteric kind of patterns that they do, because the way their songs are, they're not like the way I write songs. Like I write, more standard, like verse, chorus, that kind of thing. But Dan, like he has an idea, and it's the idea, like for the song. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of repetition, but that's the psychological component that I get from Black Flag, like just kind of really getting that idea in your head, pounding it as it were. And so like, I feel like that's what really I key off of, because like for me, I've been accused of like overwriting songs, putting too many words in a song. And I'm really trying to simplify and strip down my songwriting process. So he's kind of like my mentor in that sense, because he is about as like, basically the lyrics are just the title for a lot of our songs.
If that.
Yeah.
If that.
Sometimes it's like Houses of the Holy isn't on the Houses of the Holy album. That kind of thing.
Okay. All right. Keep us guessing. Keep the interpretation, out there for,
it's just
for
like,
all of us.
My thing is like, if you got something to say it and just get to the point. And like, we don't need a novel. Also makes it easier to remember.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, we're artists, man. It's all about SoundCloud.
Hey, I get it. I definitely get it.
There's one song that I think most people will probably remember if they've seen him play. It's a song called Effin' Art, Man. And it's where they tell a story about like.
No, that's not the one.
Oh no, Sleeveless Concert Tee, right?
Yeah,
that's the one. And they each tell a story. Like the first verse is Dan telling his story, and then Gerald tells his story on the second verse about like some really kind of I guess you guys tell.
Are you guys doing just as much vocals equally?
No, he does most of the vocals.
It just depends on the song.
But he's trying to get me to do more, and that's cool. I don't mind doing vocals. It's just that it takes me a little while to coordinate the guitar playing and the vocals.
Well, that goes into the things like, well, we just got to challenge yourself.
Yeah.
So
no, I can get it. It just takes a while, right?
Yeah.
But no. In that song, I tell this story about the first punk rock show I ever went to, which was in Austin. I know the date is November 19th, 1983, and I was in Austin.
The anniversary just came up.
I was a junior in high school,
and we played a show on like the anniversary of that. It was at the Alibi Pub in the Bluff. We played a show on that exact. Today's November 19th. Right. It's like 40 years later.
Yeah, it was the 40th year. But anyway, I was in.
That was your first show.
Yeah. I was in high school, right? And the Police were huge, right? That band, the Police. Yeah. And I was a huge Police fan, and they were on their. It was the last album, the Synchronicity album, which I don't like at all. And I really didn't even like it that much then. But I was such a fan. I loved it at the time.
Yeah.
But. And so it was they had a big tour across the United States.
Huge.
Oh yeah.
Fuck yeah.
And so everybody had to go. Everybody was there. I mean, it was so they're playing in Austin, and they played at South Park Meadows.
Yeah.
It's a big outdoor venue. Yeah.
It's awesome.
And I went to that show, and everybody was there. I saw. I'm from the Panhandle, so I even saw people from my hometown there. Right. I mean,
everybody made the trip.
Yeah. It was huge. Yeah, it was
pilgrimage, a police pilgrimage.
And I believe they had already said that it was going to be the last tour.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
that would explain things.
They drove each other crazy.
Yeah, it was huge. It was huge.
A lot of egos in that band.
Yeah.
Right
Oh
there.
yeah.
They're getting huge.
Making faces like this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but so I went to that show, and I'm from the Panhandle. I don't know anything about anything. I'm just a naive kid, right? I mean, Austin's the big city. And not only is it the big city, it's 8 hours away from where I'm from, right? So it's a long ways away from in the big city.
Yeah.
So we went to that show, and I loved the show at the time. Then I watched the YouTube of the show, like I don't know, last year or something. I'm like, man, that's.
He said it to me, I was like, God, that does. I mean, I don't like the Police anyway.
I love that album. Sorry, guys.
I love it too, man. I do too.
So anyway, you don't need to play drums, right? I think we might have an opening. We got a Police. No new waivers, man.
I prefer Ghost in the Machine.
No, that's a good one.
That's a great one too.
Yeah. Yes,
but I prefer to change the station. I made a poster once that said "Fuck the Police" with the sting on it.
Yeah, it wasn't the same Police though.
No, it was the Police.
Oh, it was. Okay.
The NWA song, but
yeah.
It was art, man. That's okay. Anyway, go ahead.
So anyway, at the
Effin' Art, man.
I bought a T-shirt, right? And you have to buy a T-shirt.
Yeah.
And it was typical 1980s, 1983. Didn't have any sleeves on it, right? It was just sleeveless T-shirt, had their faces on it. They were wearing sunglasses and stuff.
Right.
You know that one?
Yeah.
And so I bought that T-shirt, and then we had walked all the way out to South Park Meadows from the farthest bus stop on South Congress. Right, it's a long ways. Right.
Yeah.
And so me and my buddy, we were just out there, and that night during the show, a norther blew through. Right, so it was cold all of a sudden. It was a nice day in the 80s earlier. Now it's down into the 30s.
Damn.
And we're just wearing shorts, and I have a polo shirt on, but I bought this T-shirt, so I put it on over, right, because it's cold. And we were trying to walk our way back towards Austin, and this couple picked us up. Right, hey, y'all need a ride because it's cold, and they said, where do you want to go? Well, we didn't know where to go. We just said 6th Street.
Yeah.
So we went to 6th Street, and they dumped us off. Adios, see you later. And so they dumped us off. We were walking around 6th Street, and lo and behold, we run into this guy that was from San Antonio that we had met in Amarillo the previous summer.
Yeah.
And we're like, whoa, he's like, hey, it's like, he's like, hey, come with me. Let's go get some beer. And so we drove to an HEB somewhere near there. And then he's like, hey, you guys should check out this band that's playing at this club called Nightlife. It used to be called Club Foot on 4th Street. Right. It was a little kind of like not too far, maybe about a block or so from Congress, 4th and Congress in that area. It's a warehouse. And he said, oh man, the band the name of the band that's playing there is kind of crazy. It's the Butthole Surfers. It's like, yeah, it's a crazy name, but he's like, you guys got to see this band. You guys got to see it.
Right.
So he took us over there. He dumped us off, and he took off. Right. So here I am in my polo shirt with a police shirt on, just from this big tour.
Right.
There's all these punks standing out in the front of the bar. And back then the drinking age was 18, and I was about to turn 18 the following week. But so there's all these punks hanging out. And I remember I looked at one, he was a skinhead, but he wasn't a skinhead. He just didn't, punk rock.
He just didn't have hair.
Yeah. The punk rock ethos back then was you just shaved your head. Right. And I remember looking at his shirt, and on his shirt, he had written down in magic marker, boo fucking who. Right. I didn't know what the reference was, but I was like, man, that's weird, So then we walked in. We walked in, and we saw the show, Butthole Surfers. And I don't know who else was playing with them, but I mean, it scared my friend.
No shit.
It intrigued me. He was scared. He was shocked, and it intrigued me. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy, but it's fun.
Yeah,
right? And it's good. I liked it. Yeah. Right. And so that's how I kind of got into it. But that's the story I tell in the song.
That's verse 2.
No shit. Yeah. Oh, good. All right. Kick ass. Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm glad you told that story, because my next question was going to be what your first concert was.
Yeah.
So that was it. Police, Synchronicity.
Well, my first concert was Cheap Trick.
Oh, no kidding.
Which I still love Cheap Trick.
Which album?
Day. It was the 101 album, but it's late. It was a big one. Yeah, it was
probably around that
early
same time.
80s. Yeah, early
1982.
80s. Yeah.
I remember that time because I was in band. I was in middle school band, and I wanted to fucking make the drum line. I didn't fucking make it. 5 other cocksuckers, man. I ended up having to play alto saxophone. And
alto sax.
Bless my mom's heart. She went and bought me a brand new saxophone over at fucking Music Mart. Must have cost about $1,200 back in the 80s. She took it alone, bless her heart. But I learned how to fucking read music and be a pretty good saxophone player from right then. But the thing was the Police and Cheap Trick. Yeah. All the chicks love fucking Cheap Trick. All the drummers love fucking Stuart Copeland.
Oh yeah, no, he's an amazing drummer.
Yeah, man. So
he's got a really long face.
The other band that was big, Duran Duran, at the same time.
Right.
There were all those bands. MTV.
Her name is Rio, and I think she is a man.
No, but I saw them in Portales, New Mexico.
Cheap Trick,
because I was in military school in Roswell, New Mexico at the time in high school.
Roswell.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I went to military school for 3 years there. So.
Yeah. Wow. I love UFOs, man.
Yeah. I didn't know anything about that when I was there.
And just because I hate to leave things untied, the reference to Boo effing Who.
What is that?
That's Minor Threat.
Yeah.
Boo fucking Who?
Yeah. Which
Sob Story?
Sob Story. Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah, at the very end, he says, Boo effing Who.
Love me some Minor Threat. All day. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know it at the time, but I learned it like the following year. It's like, oh, that's where that comes from.
I want to give a shout out. We got some friends here in the chat room. Yeah. Richard Morales, what's up, dude? Thanks for joining us tonight. He was giving a shout. Remember Black Milk?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Definitely remember Black Milk.
Paul
from the old
Santos.
School. Yes,
he got into a fight one time at a karaoke bar because we weren't playing the Beatles, and he goes, "You don't like to have the fucking Beatles?" And he throws the mic down, and there's a big brawl. I wasn't there, but I heard about it. I just left before it happened. Yeah. And one time I was hanging out with him, and I was like, "I'll see you, Paul," and he just looked at me, dumped the beer on his head, and went like that.
Oh shit!
Like Road Warriors shit. That guy's
shout out Paul, man.
Yeah, Paul's a fantastic songwriter. He's a songwriter.
Absolutely,
machine,
yeah.
you know?
First rate. Yeah, like we put him on the Alava compilation that we did in 1995.
Yeah.
Because like everybody around that time was just really, I think, kind of firing on all 4 cylinders or all 6.
For real.
And so we were like,
some were 4.
This is a magic moment. We got to capture this. And so my girlfriend at the time, Mitty, and my brother Roger, the drummer of the Krayons, they decided to start this compilation project, and Black Milk was absolutely one of the first inspirations because we'd already heard like a demo song or two, and we're like, that band needs to be on something,
Yes.
We couldn't do a record for them because we were barely doing our own records at that time.
Right.
So but we were like, we could do a compilation and hopefully get some money together, and we did 2 benefit shows, and that's how we paid for all of that. Yeah. But they were absolutely one of the bands that I was just like, that band needs to be documented somehow,
Definitely. Hell yeah. Who else we got in there? Shout out Marcus. Hell yeah. What's up, Marcus? Yeah, I know you're a Dallas Cowboy fan. Do I get some Dallas Cowboy in your sporting? Oh my God. I'll have to get some. Rafael, what's up, bro? Hell yeah. What's up, Richard? Bunny Carlos?
Buddy Carlos, Cheap Trick's drummer.
Right.
Original drummer.
There you go.
Yes.
Chime it in. Hell yeah. And Sergio, what's up, Sergio? Doing the As Below, So Above. Hell yeah. Helping us out over there.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get part 2 going pretty soon.
Absolutely.
The next era.
Yes.
That's what I'm figuring maybe you can do with that. All right. Well, shout out, guys. Thanks for joining us in the show. If you got any questions or got some answers to any questions we come up with here, help us out in the room. Dan, what was your first concert?
I guess probably the first concert. Well, I think it was this time this stupid band played junior high. It was one of those Don't Do Drugs band, and they were like a hair metal cover band. And they opened up with that insipid Ride the Wind by Poison. I just started laughing. I was like, this is awful.
Come on.
It was so bad. Ride the wind, never gonna stop. I was like, please fall out of a window, something, hurt yourself. But it was bad. Yeah. And that didn't make me want to do it. That made me wanted to not ever be involved in a band.
You're like, that wasn't the moment.
Other than that. But the thing that really got me, show-wise, my buddies were in a band called, they started a punk rock band called Skinny. And there was Jeremy Pendergast and this guy, Carlos, I forgot his name, Carlos Garcia, I think. We both went to the Bluff, and this guy, Norman, and this bass player, Eric Gonzalez. And
pretty much 4-man march.
More or less, yeah. With you take 3 guys out, add Nick Yocklin, and you got 4-man march. And they were like a pop punk screeching weasel kind of band. It was them.
Okay.
It was at Backdrafts or EJ's. The show was $1. I remember that because it was like, we have a $1 show. I'd never been to a punk rock show before. And it was Loser were headlining, Skinny, and Cause for Alarm.
Shit.
And Tommy Price was in Cause for Alarm. I forgot the rest, but I remember this one song they played. Welcome, my friends, to the next world. The guy was doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then Skinny went up and took care of it. And then Loser played, and they just blew my mind. I was like, whoa, something snapped. I was like, this is so good. And everybody pogo. So I pogoed and someone hit me here and I chipped a tooth. And then I was like, my ears were ringing for like days, but I was like, man, that was so exciting. That was I was like, man, I want to be a part of that, but I don't think I can. But then like later on, like another story I told you. But I would consider that my first show because everything else, either I don't remember or it didn't count. But I do remember that stupid band because they're like, hey man, don't do drugs. I was like, shut up. You make me want to do drugs. Like that South Park thing. I gotta smoke cigarettes now. Don't tell me
what to do.
Like I didn't want to be like them.
Yeah, right.
So if I do drugs, I will not be like that.
That's it.
Because they suck so bad. Then they did Jailhouse Rock. It was awful. No, they did Hound Dog, and people were doing the twist. I'm like, ah!
Oh, they butchered.
Yeah, they were butchered at birth.
Yeah, butchered just like Cannibal right there. Hell yeah. Well, Rich, tell me about your first concert.
So the first rock concert that I went to was Rat and Bon Jovi at the Memorial Coliseum. I think it was Bon Jovi's second album.
Yeah.
And Rat's third album. Or maybe
Invasion of Your Privacy.
Yeah, Invasion of Your Privacy.
Yes.
I think that's.
I went to that one too.
Yeah.
Yes.
And but I mean, previously or prior to that, I should say, I'd seen bands at Bayfest.
Like who?
Well, back then they were all like cover bands, so I was like, like a little kid, and my parents would drag me out there and I'd see this band play and I would hear the one song that I knew, like Fog Hat or whatever cover.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, and I would just sit there and just like riveted because these guys
are actually
playing, but then also, growing up in Corpus Christi, quinceañeras, they would hire dance bands, so Tejano bands.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure I saw like, Mas or La Mafia or whoever, like as a little guy and not knowing anything about that life, just thinking it's just like these guys are my uncle's friends or something, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that they were like, from Houston or like Little Joe La Familia, like up in Waco or whatever.
Yes.
I had no clue.
My uncle's friends.
Right.
But
that's my Tio.
Somewhere down the line. Right?
I was impressed that they could get people out there on the dance floor moving the way they did. But otherwise, I was more impressed with like the Bayfest cover bands just because like, they were rocking, and that's what I wanted. I was like,
and we had no idea they might have lived in the same neighborhood as us or down the street.
Exactly. Yeah. And, but yeah, the first show was definitely Rat and Bon Jovi. I remember I have this memory of being on the other side of Memorial Coliseum, and we had gone up to the Whataburger, I think, and we were on our way back, and this was before the show, and a limo pulls up, and Robin Crosby gets out of the limo, and like he's just besieged by all of these girls and guys, I guess, trying to get his autograph or whatever. And I was just like, I was this little 14-year-old, 15-year-old kid going, ooh, this guy's famous or something.
Did you make that face?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I really did. But the 15-year-old me did that face. Yeah.
So small.
Face. Yeah.
Oh,
less wrinkles.
There you love it, man. All right, I love that one. And I think earlier before that day, Bon Jovi was over at Craig's Record Factory signing autographs.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I was there.
This kind of goes back to something that you just mentioned. Like, you don't know if these people live in the neighborhood or anything, but that Skinny show I went to, that's the thing that kind of made rock and roll real to me. Because I was like, I know these guys. I saw them play, like, get the songs together. I was like, I got to peek behind the curtain. I was like, oh, that's how. So you can do this. It's like those guys can do it. That classic. I could do it. So I just wanted to throw that in there but yeah, it was
my conversion happened in '86. I saw Metallica play at the Memorial Coliseum right before Cliff passed away.
Master of Puppets.
Yeah, Master of Puppets tour with the gods. And I had this major league expectation, like I was thinking this was going to be like an incredibly scary show, like the way Slayer would have been.
Okay.
Yeah, just because my first introduction to Metallica was Fight Fire with Fire.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't own any of their
fucking
stuff.
Aggressive right there.
Yeah. So I thought everything that they did was like that. And then, that album came out and all my friends were going. So this was more of a social thing for me. But the gods really did not set up the show too well, in my opinion.
Absolutely not.
And then, they come on and they're a lot like, Rat, basically they're, kind of playing to the crowd like the way a normal rock band would.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm looking for something a little more intense, a little more street oriented. And, the next thing that I remember is that I picked up a Spin magazine with Henry Rollins talking about Black Flag's tour, and it was basically the material that he used for Get in the Van. He was talking about traveling all over the country, and going to 7-Eleven with like a quarter and buying like a whatchamacallit, and that was dinner.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, that just spoke to me as like, that's paying your dues,
For real.
And then going to Europe and they played England and they were like, they were supposed to like open for Chelsea, this English band, but they ended up somehow getting the headlining slot. And so Chelsea was mad at them. Yeah. So like Chelsea stirred up the crowd. So like the guys in the crowd were spitting at Black Flag.
Damn.
Ian MacKaye was on that tour with Black Flag, and he punched a guy who spit on him. Like he was like guarding the stage apparently, and like he punched the guy, in the nose, and the crowd took 2 steps back. Yeah. And this is a story that Rollins tells in this, so I'm just like riveted. This is just like better than anything that I'd ever seen up to this point.
After you read something like that, and you see James Hetfield going, "Jump in the fire!" You're like, I don't believe you.
No, this was after that.
So, well, whatever.
So I'm building like to the point where I actually like get into that, because I'm still in the orchestra. I'm still doing all of these other things, and then I'm in this metal band called Entrant in the summer of '86, playing with David Nuss, but it was Christian metal. They kind of left the Christian part out of it when they asked me to join, and I didn't know until we were recording this demo. You're supposed to pray in private. We were recording this demo at Gary Beck's studio, and I start hearing the lyrics, and it's all this rapture, like stuff, and I'm like, what did I get myself into? And then next thing I know, Anchor Watt is in David's room, and we were ostensibly like auditioning for an opening slot. But what ended up happening was they were looking at David. Yeah. And so so after that, I think we didn't even have another practice with David. I think like a week later, like I was told that David had joined Anchor Watt, and that we were going to be offline until we could find another drummer. And at that point, that band took a radical change into a cover band, which I'm going to leave that story there. But but when I was hanging out with David, MDC had been booked to play the TNT. And so I went to that show, and if anyone who was there remembers, it was the night of the one of the World Series games that year, and the band wanted to watch the end of the World Series. And so they didn't play till after like 1 a.m. And it was a school night. And I remember like I left at midnight. So I only got to see Mercenary, which was Larry Guitarist's first band, and then Anchor Watt. Anchor Watt, yeah. But that Anchor Watt set was punk rock. That was like we were all slamming. Yeah, it was so hardcore, and I was in. That was my moment. I was just if I had any doubts, they were all dispelled.
I knew that was it. That me with the same background as you. That was the show I missed. I'd seen the flyer. The guys, Dave told me about it. Everybody's told me about that show. And that was the moment. I was like, oh, I wish I could have been there. Yeah. Dude, that's awesome.
It was a very small venue.
I think little hole in the wall.
Maybe 75 people max could fit in there.
Yeah.
And if you see the video, because there's a video of this thing, I put it in my movie. There's probably at least 60 people in there, and it's all guys. Yes. All guys.
Of course.
It's all Gilbert Gomez and Art Aguilar and Brutal Rich and everybody. It's like it's all people all these guys that were in the scene at the time and everything. And it was for me, because I missed their set, I was devastated. Right. But I did make amends because in 2006, the original lineup came back into the first album. They did a tour where they did the first album, very nice, and they played Equalize, and I saw that, and I've seen them play like 10 times. That was the show. That was like probably better than because I've seen the video for the 86 show. It was all right, but keep in mind, they had already gotten some replacement guys at that point. So it wasn't even the original lineup.
And now the original.
I saw the original lineup, and they were tight. They were all like sober, and they were just ready to rock, and they blew it up, man. It was so good.
Oh, I love that first one too.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Yeah. I got to see them, but it was when they did Bone Shakers.
Yes. Okay. I heard about that one. I didn't go to that one. But...
Yeah, it's a damn good show. Yeah. Damn good show. Okay, let's move on. Let's keep going. All right. Mm-hmm. What is coming up for Action Get Action this year?
June 29th at Black Monk Tavern. That's about it.
All right. Well, I know we talked about 6 new songs already with Rich.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we plan on playing out of town a lot more.
Yeah.
Kick ass. All right.
Like we were talking about going to New Orleans on the way over, like planning that, and we want to play Mexico. So
wow.
I'm gonna try to get my passport going.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, Austin, the same day. Yeah.
Vegas. Talked about that. I just want to get out there as much as possible. Like I want to play London. I mean.
Ooh, man.
You can't, because a lot of my friends' bands go over there, like go to Europe. It's like, it's not that hard. Just got to get a passport and save up some money, make some phone calls, just like anything else.
Just like anything else. That's right.
Rent the equipment. There you go.
Get yourself there. Fuck yes.
That's pretty much the future of action, is just to get out there as much as possible. And of course, continue to write the hits.
My goal is to record.
Yeah.
That's my goal, because like from that first show that we did together, I've been asking them, my brother and I, we run TFC. I said, let me put out your album. I was that sold.
Yes.
And I was willing to pay for it myself, like put it on my card and just, let's go, let's do this. But they are DIY to a fault. Like they said, thanks, man, but we're going to do it ourselves. We're going to record it ourselves. We're going to put it out ourselves. This is going to be our thing.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I'll back off. I want to have, 10 copies as soon as it comes out,
Oh, yeah.
And I'm still waiting on my 10 copies.
Oh, yeah. Well, now you're in the band. So
now I'm going to be playing, hearing my drumming. Yeah.
So, yeah. So there you go. But yeah, that was the other thing. Definitely want to put out a record. Like I've never been in a band that actually put out anything on vinyl.
I know what you mean.
That's like t-shirts and stickers. Yeah. Who has it? But
we want that.
But just to document it.
Yeah.
Hey, look at
you
that.
Gotta have it.
Tony, I think all of your stuff should be put out even on just 7-inch format. Like if there's like just maybe a couple of songs, like
just
all of your stuff is fantastic.
I got some pretty.
I don't understand why that hasn't happened yet.
You should just put out 7-inch just talking.
I know people would buy it. Like
I think my problem is I've been in a good handful of great bands, but I've been the one that's kind of kept everything together.
Oh, yeah.
But also been the guy that's always kept a day job and had kids, and that was the one thing that I didn't put under my belt was getting the band to that next level.
Yeah.
Getting that part. But nobody else in the other band picked up the slack.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're the only guy. And you're like, I got all this.
And I already had my hands full with booking gigs and stuff like that with the bands and things like that. And
nobody else would step up, is what you're saying?
Yeah, but I mean, it always falls back on yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't blame anybody. If you really need to do it, you got to do it on your own.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And
but it'd be nice every once.
It'd be nice every once.
Okay, at least open the door.
But I appreciate you mentioning that, Rich. Yeah. I've got stuff with
I agree with
Killamora, Screwface.
The way it works, with record labels, it's like it's all about marketing, right? And so we've kind of built this punk rock label, for better for worse, for TFC. And if we were to do a record with, say Killamora, like, do an archive thing, we wouldn't know how to market because we don't know a lot of the contacts in the business, So we'd have to start from ground zero on that. So it would be better to get like a label that's already working and active and can get that out to the stores and to all of the podcasts and everything that could really help build it a lot faster than we ever could.
That's a great idea. One thing that I've got going on is my guy's an Annihilator. So I recorded 7 songs with them. We're going to be putting out a record hopefully by the end of the year. And maybe going through the record company that we're doing, which is Extreme Records, maybe if they like what they hear.
Yeah.
I'll talk to them. See if we can go to the next level.
I would definitely ask. Yeah.
Thanks for the interest. That's awesome, man. Thank you. Thank you. But there's nothing like hearing your music out there.
Oh, nothing.
You know what I mean? And I want to hear your music too out there. You know what I mean? So Rich is going to make it happen. I think
it's like when you record your first practice, and then like back in the day with a boombox, and you play it back, and you keep playing it over. It's like, wow, I was a part of that. But it's only like 5 or 6 minutes because that's all you have. But you keep playing it and bumming your friends. Like, will you stop playing? It's like, that's me. You don't understand. Oh, it's so good. It's like smelling your own fart, You're like, it's so good. Oh.
And also, it's good torture material. Like he has my records, and like he'll play my record over and over, and his girlfriend will just stop playing that record.
I was like, but it's so good
already.
I'll explain the stories behind the songs. But see, I know this guy.
Yeah,
I know how he thinks. See, this one's about this, and this one's like, oh, that's fantastic. I always told him, no, but I didn't. Every time I tell a story, I add something different. I don't give you the full thing. It's like episodic. In this episode, I'm going to tell you this part of this. Just wait till we get to side 2. It's all art, man.
I got something else for you guys. Starting with you, Gerald. Tell me, what would be your dream fest? Give me 3 or 4 bands that you'd love to open up for, even if they're not together anymore.
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
You want me to go?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So Unwound, because I do think we bear a striking resemblance to them. Guided by Voices, because Gerald and I are both, we're all huge fans of that band. And even though we're not exactly doing what they do, I think they could appreciate what we're up to. And then Black Flag with Rollins, of course.
Rollins, yes.
Doing the
Rollins era.
84 to 86 material.
But the Guided by Voices thing it'd just be cool to hang out with Bob.
Yeah, exactly. Guy's written 10,000 songs.
Yeah, I would
over
love to hang out with Bob fucking
Pollard. Yeah,
Bob. That'd be just pound beers with him. Be like, oh man,
yes, that would be killer. Well, who's ready next?
Jerry Mitchell.
Yeah.
Probably PIL, but with Keith Levine, the original lineup, like on their Metal Box era. That obviously the Pistols. I would like to see them with Sid, not with Glenn. Though. I want to see the Sid, like the Texas tour.
The train.
That's what the Texas tour.
The excite, not when they were a Faces cover band, like in 75 or 74. I want to see them when they're falling apart.
Right.
Like the show right before Winterland. Like I think that was in Tulsa. I like Tulsa. That's specific enough. Okay, Black Flag with Rollins. Like
is that when they got the big brawl fight in Southern?
That was San Antonio.
Oh, San Antonio.
Randy's Rodeo.
Right, yeah, San Antonio. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Early PIL.
Yeah. Sex Pistols.
Sex Pistols when they're falling apart.
Yes.
In 78. And
you said Black Flag.
Yeah, and Black Flag with Rollins. Like the 84 to 86 era. That's pretty much it.
I like that show.
I can name some more, but those are
who else?
Oh yeah. Big Black.
These guys. Yeah.
Or anything Steve Albini. Yeah.
Shellac.
Okay.
Shellac would be good.
Rape
nice.
Man.
Rape Man. Yeah, anything Albini.
Yeah, I still can't think of anything. I mean,
all right.
It's just that I would rather watch them and that, than be worried about playing with a band like that or something like.
Well, if you open, then you're all done.
Yeah, but I mean,
in addition to the Police and the Butthole Surfers, he's seen Gerald's seen the Replacements, and Husker Du, just all of these
Scratch
now legendary,
all these pioneer bands,
Yep.
Jesus Lizard.
I've seen.
That's another band.
Yeah. For sure.
Oh, yeah. I just want to hang out with David. Yeah, I just want to hang out with the Jesus Lizard. Just all four of those guys seem hilarious.
Sure.
I don't know, man. I mean, maybe like Led Zeppelin or something like that. Just because it'd just be such a huge thing.
Yeah,
that'd be kind of
fuck.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, what era Led
Can you
Zeppelin?
imagine?
Yeah, like early Zeppelin.
When they were still the New Yardbirds.
And they put out like 2 albums in 1 year or something.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Oh,
that's the beginning, I think.
Yeah. Love it. Well, let me ask you the next question, Gerald. Give me at least one show that is just unforgettable from the 80s.
Ooh, there's a lot. That's what I mean. The Replacement show.
I know you were busy.
Yeah. The Replacement show I saw in Pensacola, Florida in 1985, I think, is I think that was for their Let It Be album. I mean, that blew me away. The Black Flag at the same bar in Pensacola, Florida, that was 85 also.
Oh, shit.
That was on the In My Head tour. That one blew me away. Well, because I mean, back then I didn't like that album. I just because it's not the kind of the hardcore Black Flag.
That's the one that still had like
and
driving.
Yeah. That's a great album though. But at the time, I didn't like it. I didn't appreciate it. Right. I wasn't mature enough to appreciate it. And so, but I went to that show just because you just go to the show.
Yes.
And it blew me away. I was like, wow, man. That was like, totally blew me away. But believe it or not, also like a show like that you don't expect. Like, for example, I saw the Psychedelic Furs in 1984.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Wow.
Yeah. At Schloss Furnaces in Birmingham, Alabama, which is kind of a cool amphitheater in an old steel furnace.
Very cool. Yeah.
That was a great show. But believe it or not, also I saw a free show of the Outfield at the University of South Alabama
on the Play Deep album, right?
Yeah, they blew us away.
Every song's a hit.
I'm like, wow, yeah. It's just, and then
I saw got a hell of a voice.
Yeah, and then I saw Billy Squier here at Concrete on the small stage.
Yeah,
this is back when I first moved back to Corpus in 2010 or something like that. That was a great show too.
I love Billy Squier.
Yeah, and every song was a hit. I'm like, wow, I forgot. Wow, that's a hit. That's a hit. I mean, it was stuff like that I love stuff like that that just kind of comes out of left field.
Yeah,
that you don't expect. You just go because that's like what you're supposed to do is go, or you just go because it's free or something like that.
Yeah,
it's like wow. But I mean, but there's been a lot. I saw Jesus Lizard. The first time I saw them in New Orleans, that blew me away. Then I saw them again in Arizona when I was in graduate school. That blew me away. I saw the Minutemen. The first time I saw them, and that was at Tulane University, that blew me away. A lot of stuff.
A lot of our forefathers.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yes, golly.
By the Ground Zero Band.
The Husker Du.
Yes, that's what I want to go for. The Ground Zero bands. Yeah. So what do you think? You got some unforgettable shows that you got to
probably
give some shout outs to?
It sounds like I'm tooting my own horn here, but probably one of the one show that I thought was just wow was when the first Malone show we opened up for the Unabombers. Yeah. It used to be the Cleavers, and some of the Unabombers went on to be in the Mersey Devils. I think about that show when I saw the Unabombers, because I remember I saw the Cleavers, but I was distracted at the time. But this time I was really hyped up that I'll get to open up for this band that the members or whatever. And I was watching them and they were just so amazing. I was like, it was the first show and they did not disappoint. They were sloppy, they were loud, they were violent sounding, but they're really funny guys. And I had to borrow their bass amp because I broke mine. I put my bass amp in the trunk and I closed it, but it made the slot go down or like the jack disappear there. I was like, but I didn't realize that you could just unscrew it and just put it back in. I was like, oh, we're fucked. Yeah. But he let me borrow it. And I just remember watching them. It's like, wow, these guys are tour. They're friendly. They're fucking just nuts. It's like this is in August of 96.
But you talk a lot about that AC/DC show you saw.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one too. Stiff Upper Lip.
No kidding.
It was at Alamo Dome. I had to sit through Slash's Snake Pit, and Slash was fat, and he had his hat. And the singer came out, and and he goes, "Hey, man, we got fucked up right last night. Did we Slash? Yeah, did we? Man? We got fucked up." And Slash was sitting there with a stupid hat and his hair. He was like, ooh. He looked like a Muppet. I was like, God, fuck this guy. And then they mercifully stopped. And then AC/DC comes out, and they open up with "You Shook Me All Night Long." I was like, wow, this is how it's going to be. Yeah. And the guy next to me was this dude didn't speak a lick of English, and he played air guitar the entire time.
No shit.
Learning like that. Even when there wasn't any music playing, when Brian Johnson was talking. Yeah. It was just like, wow. And they were amazing, like start to finish, and then some. Then they played the jack, and some old lady flashed their boobs, and it was on the big screen. I was like, no one needs to see that.
Don't.
But they were solid from start to finish.
He also saw the Sex Pistols.
Yeah, and I saw them in '96 at the.
Yeah, I was at that show too. That was a great
show. Was good. The only problem was Stabbing Westward and Gravity Kills opened up.
Yeah,
that was just.
But that was a good show, though.
Yeah, but when they came on, I fucking lost it.
But I have to mention another show that I forgot to mention is the David Lee Roth when he first came out after Van Halen.
With Steve Vai?
Yeah, that was a great show. Steve Vai, Billy Sheehan.
That was an all-star
What's his
lineup.
name? Yeah. What's his name on the drums? Like Greg Bissonette. Yeah.
Eat 'em and Smile?
UNT alum.
Yeah, that was a great show.
Hey, very cool.
Was that Eat 'em and Smile?
Yeah, Eat 'em and Smile. Yeah.
Billy Sheehan.
That must be so
Yankee Rose.
Yeah,
That's the jam right there.
Woo.
Still works. Still
it's a great song.
I have the Spanish version of the album on vinyl.
Oh, kick ass!
He's a collector. He's a Rothologist.
I like that. Rich, give me some unforgettable shows.
So for me, there's the early stuff, which was like Verbal Assault from Rhode Island when they played the Boys Club. That was just this
shit. VA rocks your liver.
Fantastic. No, that's Verbal Abuse. Verbal Assault was a straight edge band. That's right. They were formerly straight edge, but they were like allied with the DC scene, so they were kind of doing that thing. And then they slowed down, and they were doing what Rollins' band was doing, like real kind of heavy groove oriented stuff. Like on there was a 12-inch EP that was called On, and they were doing kind of just that slow, like very, very riff oriented, just slow kind of pounding driving rock. And they came out and they just rocked really hard. And then from there, I would say the two shows that were house shows, they should have been shows at EJ's Pizza. Yeah. But let's see, Jawbreaker played first at my friend's house, and that band went on to like open up for Nirvana.
That's right. Yeah.
And then Christ on a Crutch played My Bedroom. And this is all in my documentary.
Cool. Yeah.
I got video of that.
Yeah, I've got video of Christ on a Crutch, but not Jawbreaker. But the big one for me, the one where I literally saw, there was only 30 of us in the room, but like the guys who were there, like I could see the wheels turning and people literally changed overnight. Like the way people talk about the Sex Pistols.
At the Manchester Free Hall?
Yeah. This was happening the night that Neurosis played here for the first time on the Word is Law tour in 1990.
Yeah.
This was at the beginning of that summer. And
they that little hole in the wall pizza place.
Yeah, the pizza place.
Holy shit!
Like
that's right.
That's the night that Community Crisis became Festus. Like they were doing like a more like Misfits style of sound. They dropped the name. They practiced for like I don't know 5 months, and then they came out as Festus, and like everybody's like, "Who's that?" You know, it's like because it was the same guys. They just had a whole different attitude.
With that, they got that Neurosis show under their belt. They're like, you know what?
Yeah,
that's when they started doing that song, "Fall of Man."
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
So, and then of course, you know,
that's a good one you brought up right there.
Yeah, and then you know, I moved to Austin, and so like I got to see a ton of fantastic bands over there. You know, and I can't even begin to wrap my mind around it. I've seen, I think I have a shirt where I have this grid of all of the bands that I've seen at least once, maybe 5 times, you know, and there's probably about 300 bands on there, you know, and these are all like the name bands, the touring bands.
Opened up a hornet's nest for that question,
right?
So yeah, I'm trying to like narrow it down, but yeah.
Well,
like,
you'd have to say DeCroixin, right?
Yeah, I saw DeCroixin and
who we might open up for.
Fugazi 5 times. Yeah, like Sergio's like, you saw Fugazi. I was like, yeah, 5 times, man. They loved Austin, you know, because Minor Threat played there back in like 1983.
That was their Texas home.
Yeah. This was like they played the Ritz, so with the big boys and I think the Dicks too. And so yeah, like these bands that came, the Ground Zero bands, they built the network.
Yeah,
and then like their secondary bands or the bands that came later were able to really reap the rewards of the network that had been built. Because at that point, those promoters were no longer in high school. Those promoters were like in college or they were professional promoters could put them in good rooms where they could make money, you know? And so like it led to something. It wasn't just, you know, kids messing around. This actually went somewhere. And we saw that in the 90s with the Green Day explosion and all of that, you know? So
yeah, the Green Day thing was pretty funny. And then people were vomiting on floors. Experimenting with drugs.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember seeing bands like, you know, like the Locusts and you know, all of these noise rock bands and just going, wow, this is just going off in different tangents and stuff. And but you know, it was never as much fun as the early days because like, you know, not having $1 in your pocket and then going to somebody's house and seeing a band like Selk pull out like, you know, a steel drum and you know, coil and bouncing it off the floor and stuff's going through the windows and I mean for free for with no money in your pocket. You go in there to this house party and you see stuff like that. That's like you can't you know
you can't put a price on that.
Exactly.
Damn, it's so awesome.
Well, the Real Gun Commandos, our last show was at a house party and people were falling on us and everything. That was pretty bad.
Yeah, some of my favorite memories are like, you know, the DIY shows, like when Krayons went on tour. We played with Los Crudos a couple times, but the house shows and the basement shows were really kind of the coolest things because I mean, you know, like there was no it was a lot looser in terms of like the organization. Like, you know, they didn't have us like, okay, you go on at 7:45 and you go on at 8:45. It was just like, Cat got here. I guess if you want to start, you know, otherwise, you know, take your time.
That's something that Action is planning for the future. More basement shows and house shows and things like that. More like, I mean, not so much venue stuff because we're all right, Joe. We were talking about that, like
it's cool.
Like house shows and
play anywhere,
and the people get in your face. That's the other.
Yeah, that's the best part.
They're literally extending over you, like the drummers play.
And
there's people
that's what Action would like to do is play more shows like that.
I like
that. When I saw Lightning Bolt, they played on the floor. They had their own PA, and the crowd literally surrounded them. And I was like, that's such a genius idea. And so they kicked off that show. They played with the Locust, and then at the end of the Locust set, because Locust headline, lightning bolt was back on the floor behind the crowd, and they started up at 1:45.
Damn.
Everything's supposed to end at 2. They started going again, and the crowd just turned and just jumped on them, and everybody's dancing again. It was so fun.
Damn. To be able to bring those days back, but you can bring them back a little bit like that.
Somewhat,
but you got to set the show up. There's some guys, I want to say, Joe Valdimo, and his son, they're doing backyard parties.
Yeah, I heard by Black Monk Tavern. I know that there was a backyard party. Right. Yeah, there was a backyard party there. I remember one night.
5-6 bands.
Because we were playing that night, and there was a big commotion going on. I was like, oh, there you go. Yeah. So I think, I don't know what you're talking about. I think it's over there, off of what street is that?
I think he's got a label called Hardcore Demonstration. And they're signing some local bands.
Nice.
Yeah. So I mean, and shout out to the Slam Master booking and promotion and
Beat Down
Kill Crew. Yeah, Beat Down. All these guys are
doing
the stuff that I don't want to do. I'd rather just sure my band will be there.
Yeah, well, you got things
to
do.
Put everything together.
And you got this show to run. This is a full-time thing.
Yes.
I kind of got that warm and fuzzy feeling at the Circle Jerk show at Brewster Street because I saw so many old friends and it was. A lot of us are we're kind of getting up there in years, and mobility is an issue.
Gotta get prostate exams.
You can't jump in the pit, but you can sure have a good time watching the younger guys go after it and enjoying the songs and everything. And like I remember I think it was that weekend, I went over to Hybrid and I was standing in line trying to buy some records, and Carlos was talking to one of his customers, and the guy was saying that he was at the Circle Jerk show.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, or Carlos asked him, what did you think of that show? And he goes, oh, it was okay, but they talked a lot, and I was just like, the man is a senior citizen.
Yeah.
I actually stopped. I was like, sir, the man is a senior citizen. Yeah. And the fact that he got up there and did 30 songs that are that fast and that intense, like badass. I only hope that I have that kind of energy at that age. You know what I mean?
Right.
But he's a pro. He's been doing it this whole time. So, it's like Keith Morris is,
he's got one of the best voices for that.
He's a legend, just
big time.
Just total energy.
Yes. And you're right. He did do a little bit of talking, but at the same time, it's like, hey, that's his style.
You got to tell some stories.
And I want to hear the stories.
Exactly.
And speaking of, what about Bad Brains? When we had, let's take it back. We had HR come to the house and they played over at Gators. I would have loved to hear some fucking stories from HR.
Yeah.
But he was in bad shape, man. It was a ball breaker. It was a ball. It broke my heart.
I was at that show. He was just like,
the band kicked ass. Yeah. The band kicked ass.
I saw Bad Brains at Fun, and HR sat down in the middle of one of the songs. Like he just literally sat on stage.
Yeah.
And it was so disheartening because the rest of the band was really into it. Mm-hmm. They saw the enormity of the crowd, and they were just visibly bummed because they could not deliver. This was the show that they had been like
a big comeback.
Like this was like bigger than anything they'd probably done in a long time, right?
Didn't they have like mental issues or something?
So I've heard, but
it was just so tough, man. Because I'm a big HR fan, and I love his solo stuff. Human rights, so it was a heartbreaker, man. Because I wanted to fucking lose my mind. I was like, oh no, it was almost like. Shouldn't have come. I shouldn't have put him up there. Just come on, man. It's not the way I want to see him.
I remember pushing Ozzy out in the chairs.
I wrote about that show for the Collar Times. So I interviewed the booking guy because he said that HR wasn't available for interviews. So I said, is he going to do some of the new, some of the classic material? He said, oh yeah, he's going to do some classic stuff as well as some new stuff,
Yeah.
And so that was a bald-faced lie because I didn't go, but I heard that it was mostly his reggae and non-Bad Brains material.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that to
what's
me
the name of the reggae stuff? It's something Train.
I don't even remember.
I mean, it's all good, but we gotta hear something from Eye Against Eye. You gotta give us Eye Against Eye. Reignition. Yeah. You got a House of Suffering. Give us some more jams. Sailing On, man. Pay to Come.
Yeah, I was about to say that. But that's a kind of a stretch if he's that old. It's like, I don't think he can play Pay to Come anymore.
But the band did kick
Pray
ass.
to Come, more like it.
Yeah, I know, right?
Please, God, let me come.
Well, I'm glad we brought up all these names because a lot of these names are going to be covered on this last segment before we wrap things up.
Okay.
I like to do a little segment called Draw the Line. So I'm gonna give you guys a couple of bands, and you tell me who you like more out of them. I'm trying to make it a little tricky in regards to them maybe being in the same genre or maybe in the same kind of intensity. Maybe
there's no math involved. You promised no math.
No math. No math. You got it. So I'm gonna go and get started. And Gerald, I'm gonna get started with you. Tell me who you like between Minor Threat versus DRI.
I got to go with with DRI.
Yeah.
Mainly because we got into them big time back in their early 80s, 84, 85.
Yes.
And then we saw them in New Orleans like at the same time. And they were cool. They were really cool. And I worked with our college radio station at the time. So we were like a clique, right? That's where the Vomit Spots came out of, right? And so we all went to that DRI show and we interviewed Kurt, right?
Yeah.
And stuff. And he was really cool and stuff like that. But I mean, I like DRI. I have to go with that.
Killer. I like it. What do you think, Dan?
Minor Threat.
Minor Threat.
Yeah, DRI there's like I saw him one. I don't know if I ever saw him. I probably did. No, they just didn't really interest me. Minor Threat just got me going, especially their slower stuff. Like not the first set of singles, but the Out of Step. I like that when they supposedly went sounding like U2, where they got rid of their more
U2
social, they're less. They stopped using their distortion friendly Marshalls and went to something else, basically what the Edge was using. I like I like the more experimental stuff because the first stuff it just gets kind of blaring because all the lyrics are just you feel like you're getting yelled at, like you're the wall that you're being screamed at. It's like you do this, you do this, yeah. But I do like that song Filler. That's
a good one.
So
Minor
Threat.
All right, where are you coming from, Rich?
Well, so it's funny that you should mention those two bands in the same vein because the Krayons, our first show, we did 7 or 8 covers. We did Corrosion, we also did DRI, and we did Minor Threat. So all of that is very much like my early
your fundamentals right there.
But I have to say Minor Threat as well, just because they got out at the point where they saw that the band might go a direction that they weren't going to be proud of.
Okay.
So they decided we've done good. Let's leave it there.
Yeah.
And we'll go do other things.
Yeah.
And DRI, in my opinion, I saw them play the last time. I'll go see them, continually because they are a great band. But me personally, half the band's new, but me personally, I feel like the music that I respond to for DRI is like the first 3 records, really. That's about it. Really.
Yeah, me too. But that's where I'm coming from.
But the interesting thing,
but they're that strong.
Yeah. When it's talking about the Minor Threat thing, how the band was falling apart, there was a part where I read where they talked about wanting to build a 2-tier stage, one for Ian so he could be there with the kids, and one for the band higher up because I think Brian Baker or somebody, they were getting tired of people knocking his guitar out of tune. Like, I can't deal with this anymore. We just stop it. And they also had problems with because Ian Mackay, they opened up for Public Image Limited, and he was upset about how big the ticket price was. So he voluntarily cut their pay in half just to lower the ticket price by 50 cents. And the other guys in the band were like, why the fuck did you do that?
Yeah, there was a real difference of opinion at the end.
Yeah, because he was just all he saw that movie Woodstock way too many times, which he actually admits in some books. Like, I just wish it was more like the 60s. And the other guy's like, I want to do something. And they felt like going on tour with them was like going on tour with your parents because the other guys in the band were not all straight. They were occasional drinkers and stuff like that. But he was just like, you can tell by his lyrics, you. There's that. So, I just want to add to that point about the band falling apart. But,
Good point. But you know what? The reason I compare those two is because of the intensity of the music.
That makes sense.
The
speed.
Absolutely. And what's funny about that is DRI sent their first demo to Discord.
Yeah.
And the story that I've heard, I don't know, this is apocryphal, but the story that I've heard is that Ian said, how many songs are on that demo? And it was like 22. Yeah. And he said, oh, it's got to be garbage. He didn't even listen to it. Said, there's no way anything, with 22 songs is going to sound good. So That's the story that I've heard. Whether it's true or not, it's a good story, right?
That is a good story.
Never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
That's right.
When legend becomes fact, prick the legend.
That's right. Hey, I dig it. Hell yes. All right, second one. Gerald, Descendants versus the Adolescents.
Descendants. I never was an Adolescents fan, but Descendants are cool. We played with them. Vomit Spots played with them in New Orleans back in '87, I think.
Was it still all? I mean, Descendants, or had they already transitioned?
No. It was Descendants. It was right before they transitioned to all. And we saw them. We never played with all, but I saw all several times.
Yeah.
After they made that transition.
That's when I caught them. Was when they made the transition all.
Yeah. No, I never got into the Adolescents. So
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Let me ask you real quick. I'm going to skip you right here real quick. Did you guys open?
Yeah.
I thought
the Krayons open for All and Chemical People.
Yeah, that was a killer show at the warehouse.
Yep.
That was a fucking killer show. Yeah. Okay, we're going to get back to that. Now, Dan, let's get back to it.
What was the question again?
Adolescents versus the Descendants.
That's kind of tough because lately, I would say Descendants, mostly because I'm not too familiar with the Adolescents, but I saw the ads when they played at Zeros back in '99. I think that was pretty good. Even my brother liked it. He doesn't like anything. But lately I've been getting tired of the Descendants because it's just so whiny. Like, I'm the one who's been there for you all along. It's like, I get it. That's fine. Just stop. Even I have to say, I changed mine. Adolescents, because I'm going to go look into their catalog because I just can't deal with the Descendants. I can't deal with the Bill Stevenson and his back problems or whatever the hell what's wrong with him.
Damn it, his posture right back there playing drums and shit.
Just let himself go, man. It's like,
damn it.
He used to lift weights with Rollins. He used to be in shape, and then he just goes, I'm just going to boom.
Oh, damn it.
I'm the one. He took that Wiener Schnitzel song to heart. That's what I think what happened. I like food. Food is good. Whatever.
Well, give me some, Rich. What do you think out of these two?
Absolutely Adolescents. And I'll tell you why. It's just, like Dan says, I think the Descendants are beloved by many, many of our friends and all of that. And that's great. But for me, Word Attack, Kids of the Black Hole, these are some absolutely timeless songs.
Yeah, Kids of the Black Hole is good.
Yeah. And I got to talk to the singer. I'm drawing a blank on his name. But I interviewed him, like when they played Corpus, they played the House of Rock at least 10 years ago. And he was very, very down to earth. I really enjoyed the interview. Mentioned, I did not know this at the time, but the bass player was in Agent Orange. And so I was just like connecting the dots. I was like, these guys, they've got incredible stories. But definitely, I think they get overlooked a lot, but they are really kind of the architects of that Southern California kind of groove punk sound.
Good way of describing it. Man.
Those guys really kind of locked into that sound. And I think Bad Religion initially, especially after that second album,
I like that one.
Took the Into the Unknown.
I love that one.
It's like the record, according to the Epitaph guy, Greg Gurwitz.
Yeah.
He said they put out 10,000 records in the record stores and they got 15,000 back.
Yeah.
Well, I like that. I like that.
It's actually their most collectible record.
But I like the songs on it.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I heard it for the first time just the other day because I was like, I got to hear this thing.
It's real dark, too.
It's the one that sounds nothing like anything else. It's their prog rock record. It's all keyboards.
Yeah. But it's not as bad as people make it out to be.
No.
Because they just want to hear, like, that 3-chord lockstep crap.
Yeah.
I was a New America. It's like, reminds me of my ex-wife's friends that worked at the coffee shop. That dumbass dude. He looked like the Michael Stipe worshiping piece of crap. Got it. What was his name? Yeah, his fiance wore purple pants. I was like, that's just a bad decision.
I'd agree. Absolutely. Gerald, here we go. Circle Jerks versus Black Flag.
I got to go with Black Flag.
All right. Okay. I'm getting the vibe here. Exactly. Hell yes. All right. So, Dan, is that going to be a repeat for you?
Yeah, Black Flag. Because Circle Jerks, basically, when they got together, they took a lot of Black Flag riffs. And one of the Black Flag songs is like, "You bet we got something personal against you." Yeah, it's about them. And also the Circle Jerks just seem kind of like I don't like Keith Morris's voice. The older I get, the more I can't stand it. He's like, like my parents, like the kid, broken body, speed, super buttons. It's like, oh, shut the and he's got dreadlocks and he's balding. I was like, all right, live in your apartment, sit by the pool. Don't worry, another punk rock documentary is coming right along.
You better believe it.
Yeah, so Black Flag, 100%.
Black Flag.
You already knew the answer to that question.
I think so. And Rich, is it going to be a 3 in a row?
Yeah,
3
absolutely.
strikes. Hell yes.
They were the one band that was brave enough to do something like I Can See You, which if you've never heard it, is absolutely one of the most disturbing songs. Like just the melodic part, and then it gets really kind of atonal on the guitar, and the lyrics are like a serial killer, just kind of studying his prey.
But it's almost like in a pop format too. It's
catchy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Another one off of In My Head.
Yeah.
Also, Sinking's a good one.
Sinking's a good one.
I love that. I remember, like, when I was living in an apartment with my ex-wife, I was getting into Black Flag, like the post My War stuff. When I was in this band Loaded, and that song Sinking was on. I was like, oh God! So I put it ahead again, and she walked away like, why are you listening to that depressing music? I was like, this makes me want to dance, babe. Take your top off. Let me see what you got. It's a sexy song.
Now we're cooking, right?
Circle Jerks don't do sexy songs.
Oh, I like this next one. Gerald, what do you think between Sex Pistols and The Clash?
Sex Pistols, that's easy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it just punches you in the face. The Clash, they just kind of dance around, I think, more,
All right. Dan, where are you coming from?
Sex Pistols.
Yeah.
Because what did Johnny Rotten just said that the Joe Strummer was. What did he say about Joe Strummer? Like they're just Marxists with some sort of. No, there's bad pop music with Marxist letters. Also, I just didn't like that. I just didn't. The Clash didn't do it because I heard Nevermind the Bullocks. I also had something to do with the production of their albums. Because Nevermind the Bullocks, that thing is just.
It's a great production.
It's a fucking panzer.
Yes.
And then you hear like London, or you hear the Clash is like, why?
You're right.
It's like, it's just dumb. It's just. I just don't like Joe Strummer's face. I don't like. I just hate the way. Just the Clash just pissed me off. It's just like there's nothing there, and a lot of people that I think are huge fucking posers in any punk rock thing, they're always big goddamn Clash fans, and have the little Clash with a star on it. I was like, I like the Clash. Like, shut up.
I'm with you.
Thank you. See, here's the reason why I like Tony.
I feel you, man. I feel you. It's like, what? You don't even know one's Clash song anyway.
Exactly.
And anyway.
But the music sucks too.
Hey, I prefer, where I'd rather go with Sex Pistols all day. But Rich, what do you think?
I'm a Clash guy. It's
like you said you play drums. Right? You said you play drums, right?
Yes, I do.
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, I seriously think that the record stands for itself. Which band sold, I don't know, 100,000 tickets in 10 minutes in New York City?
Yeah.
Wasn't the Sex Pistols. They didn't even play New York City until 1996.
Yeah, because they weren't like, they didn't make it. They went to where they weren't wanted. The Clash didn't go down
and that's
south.
a Malcolm McLaren mind.
But those shows are way more legendary. You hear about, did you see the Clash in New York? It's so violent.
No, the Clash at the US Festival.
Oh my God. With the Van Halen.
Yeah.
There you go.
Anyway,
they're whips.
They played Austin and Joe Ely open. They allowed like a Texas, country rock, guitar player to open up for them. They were very experimental.
Yeah.
They experimented with reggae.
With men.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like they really kind of stretched.
They did
stretch the boundaries of the form, and
they also got their asshole stretched by Joe Eli. That's why they call him Joe Anal Eli from that show.
You're about to get like 20 like really ugly messages, Dan.
I get 20 a day.
Oh my God! Right.
So 40.
Yeah, that's my quota.
I feel like they added a lot more to pop culture than the Sex Pistols did, just because they weren't around very long. They were very powerful and enigmatic, but they self-destructed, and it was a lot of their own doing. Everybody's like, Sid was this amazing kind of character, but he couldn't play his instrument. Like, don't throw a guy up there who can't play an instrument and put him with like really great players.
Guys, yeah.
He's going to look very incompetent, which he did, and it's all over the documentary.
Yeah, I know.
DOA.
Really depressing documentary, boy. Don't put that on if you want to have a good time.
That's right.
Like if you're going through some darkness,
it's one of my inspirations for my movie.
Yeah, I like it.
I wanted to have some of the realism of the moment. You know,
I'm just saying that DOA movie is just really
rough. It's rough. Yeah.
But you have to be in a good mood to see it. I mean, you have to be in a where you want to sink to that because it just ends with Sid nodding out, being interviewed, and Nancy's just going like, "Sid, will you please wake up?"
And I think it ends with like,
it's like, and he died. Like, it's like, you know,
that's you should not drink beer.
I drink all the time. That's the only way I could get through it because I guess I could find something funny in it, but. There's no hope in that movie at all. It's just like
absolute nihilism.
That's what nihilism, it is. Yeah. It's called Dead on Arrival. Well, it's not going to be like
Ian McKay called Sid a junkie nihilist. You know, in American hardcore, and I think that rings true.
Yeah.
He really was just the negative energy that kind of drew the band because there was all of the forces, surrounding the manager versus band kind of dynamic. And then here comes this guy who can't play his instrument, who's a train wreck, falling down on stage in public, doing drugs publicly, fighting with the audience. I mean, the story is romantic from our point of view,
but
because it's history. But at the time,
it must have
when you're trying to build a band, and not only that, he was John Lydon's
he's watching his friend just
so he was personally, emotionally invested in this young man, and he could not deal with the fact that his friend was self-destructing every night. That's bound to like really tear the band apart. So the band really never got going, in my opinion. I think that album sounds great. There's some good songs on there, but the next one probably would have been just enormous, because they would have had a tour behind them, like an American tour where they faced people that really hated them. It's like,
or they could have done a sophomore slump.
Maybe, but I think they would have. I think they would have put out something good.
It would have sounded like Seven Mary 3.
We'll never know because when they came back in '96, they chose to tour and not put out a new album.
Well, they thought about getting together, but to work on some stuff. But
I know
was
they
like,
did.
I was like,
I know
let's
the
not
story.
do this.
Yeah,
that's right. He has a degree.
Yeah, like we could barely put up with each other.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, they were like, nobody wants to hear the new stuff.
Yeah.
All they want to hear is, never mind the Bullocks.
Also, if we did try it, it would probably be.
Yeah.
Also,
they could only lose, really.
Lydon said if we did write new stuff, it'd probably be terrible. So let's just not even give.
Because they're not in the same place.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes a big difference. Huge difference. So it saved them a lot of time and headaches.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it. Sometimes that magic is. It's going to stay back there.
We got 3 Pistols, 1 Clash. I think that's a scorecard.
Yep,
that's it.
Okay.
All right, moving on.
But you made some valid points. I just can't stand the Clash.
And great history. I love that.
Thank you.
We got 2 more. All right. Okay, Misfits versus Suicidal Tendencies, Gerald.
Suicidal Tendencies for me. Hey. I never was a Misfits guy.
No shit.
Never appealed to me. Never struck a chord with me. I don't know why. Just didn't, but Suicidal did. The first album for sure. I mean, that's classic. I mean, once they started moving more into the crossover and metal stuff, they lost me there. But I mean, that first album was such a
untouchable.
Yeah.
It was, right? Hell yes. What do you think, Dan?
I never got into Suicidal Tendencies, so I have to say Misfits. Every time I hear Suicidal Tendencies, I think of that stupid Pepsi song.
You can't help but think about institutionalized.
Yeah, so I never bothered to delve any further. And then they did that other band, that Funkadelic Groove,
Infectious Groove.
That thing, I was like, this is stupid. I was like, I don't really know where that came. I don't want to know the origin story of that.
You didn't got a little funk on the bass line?
No, I don't like that. It makes you think of Spin Doctors. Who are my fans, by the way? But I have to say Misfits. But I prefer, when it comes to the Danzig stuff, I prefer the Sam Hain stuff over the Misfits. But if I have the choice between Misfits and Suicidal, I'd say Misfits.
Okay.
But I like Misfits.
Just
because that's one of the early things I got into, because it's just poppy, it's fun. I don't like Earth AD at all. I'm talking about the other stuff, like the
Die Die My Darling.
Yeah, like
things like that.
Like the Whoa stuff.
Yeah. Astros. Or like She.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Early Misfits.
I dig it. What do you think, Rich?
I'm looking at the totality of the career when I make my judgment here.
Okay.
So I'm going to go.
He's a completist. He collects
I'm going to go with the Misfits, and here's why.
Okay.
Because, like Gerald said, the first album is untouchable, but they did change directions. They changed their lineup and everything and went another way, which, hey, every artist has the right to do that. But me as a fan, I'm going to choose what what resonates with me in my ears. Misfits never really went sour, in my opinion. They got harder and faster. And so by the time they did Earth AD, they were practically a hardcore band. Like they went from writing like these really, melodic, very, very pretty almost sounding songs to something that was pretty scary, actually. It's like, and from a performer point of view, like you can't do wrong by having a Misfits song in your back pocket when the crowd is not digging what you're doing. And I'll give a short story about that. We were playing the Axiom in 1988, and the crowd was not digging what we were doing.
Classic venue in Houston.
Yeah. And so we looked at each other. We're like, Earth AD? We just started it. And the 5 guys that were out there just lost their minds, and they were in love with us for that one song.
Yes.
So it's like our Blues Brothers moment. You know what I mean? You got to have one of those Misfits songs in your back pocket, because if they don't like what you're doing, you can always pull that out and at least win them over for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's genius.
Good country key.
Yes.
Good dancing key.
Good dancing key. Yeah.
Bringing it back for a minute, I got to give a shout out to Sam Hain, because that was some good shit that he was able to create right there. It was definitely dark.
Yeah.
A whole different sound.
Yeah.
Even his vocal, he was taken in different places.
Well, my favorite Danzig song ever is something that is very limited in terms of release. It's on the soundtrack for the Robert Downey movie, Less Than Zero.
Ooh.
He sings a ballad titled Less Than Zero. That's the album soundtrack song. And he plays, I think it's with an orchestra. It's just this amazingly beautiful, like slow song, like the Everly Brothers song that he should have sang at some point in his career.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so he finally got to do it. It sounds fantastic. He's never sung better, and I can't find it on any other proper release. It's only on the album. Yeah, wow. I think the studio that put out the movie owns the rights to that song.
Son of a gun.
That is my favorite Danzig
I gotta
song.
hear it, because of course, Inagata Davida comes off on that one.
Oh,
the popular movie back then.
Yes, Slayer, right? Slayer did it. Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Wow, that's a good one. I gotta search for that one.
Yeah.
Okay, we got one more to go, guys. Gerald, what do you think between the Dead Kennedys and Bad Brains?
I got to go with Bad Brains.
Bad Brains.
I mean, the Kennedys are okay, but once again, it never really spoke to me a lot. I thought. It just seemed, I don't know. Bad Brains just, I don't know. Dead Kennedys just, I don't know. Just seemed more.
Left coast.
Yeah, definitely had a different vibe to it than
was it his voice?
Bad Brains. Yeah, I think maybe it is the voice.
Jello.
But or
it's an acquired taste.
Was it the politics? Maybe.
No, it's not the politics. I don't care about politics. That doesn't bother me. But no, I don't know what it is exactly. I don't know. It seems a little bit more poppy than the Bad Brains stuff, but I don't know. It never resonated with me as much. I like it, but between the two, I have to go with Bad Brains.
Bad Brains. What's your favorite Bad Brains album?
I got it. Rock for Light for me.
Rock for Light. Hey, okay. Kick ass. What do you think, Dan? Bad Brains.
Has to be Dead Kennedys. Bad Brains, I never really got into them, but Dead Kennedys to me were a frightening band. That song Riot gave me I would listen to that. I was like, whoa. And that one song where they talk about there's a Saturday Night Massacre or Thursday night.
That's the one with Margaret Thatcher.
Oh,
they're saying we're going to start a war.
The one where he talks about there's a camp outside of town and there's a train. Basically, something Holocaust. You know what I'm talking about?
Saturday Night Holocaust.
Yeah, the one which is like just bass and it's just real spooky. And that song, the Dead Kennedys just frightened me.
Yeah,
because I remember listening to some of their that one album cover, "Give Me Convenience or Give Me Death," with the guy's head with the barbed wire and the bodies and everything. I was like, every time I saw it, I never got the guts to buy it. It always made me curious. And Bad Brains was like cute little covers, eye against guy. Oh, the wearing sunglasses, like whatever. But Dead Kennedys, they were just spooky, terrifying. A Holiday in Cambodia. I mean, like
great jam.
Police Truck, all their stuff it just like Gerald Biafra. I actually really loved his voice. It was unique. The thing about that band is like he just brought up all this frightening stuff. As me as a suburban kid, I wasn't really exposed to, like cops beating people and all these like
things we never
like
even
the
saw
house next door. There's something happening. Like like there's this one house in the neighborhood. They always had. I remember one time my brother and I were walking. I was like, "Hey, I think there's drug dealers in our neighborhood." I was like, "I don't know." And the next day, this house across the street got busted, and they took a picture. They had guns and stacks of money and all this stuff. And because I know that my dad said it's kind of weird because the motorcycle was parked on this side of the street one day, and that was parked on that. So it was like a signal. Yeah. So Dead Kennedys opened me up to that world and got me thinking about things.
Yeah.
And Bad Brains was just wasn't interesting. And also, Dead Kennedys had swing and the variety of their songs. Like every album, there's just nothing sounded the same. Like it was kind of like you knew it was a Dead Kennedys song, but at the same time, it didn't sound like you know what I mean. It wasn't like every song's the same. It's just every has that stamp on it.
Right.
But it was just like I said, it's just dark. It was terrifying, and it made me uncomfortable. And I liked it. It pushed me to places that I didn't want to go, but at the same time, I kind of liked it. It's like, wow, I'm about to get in this fight. I'm going to lose, but let's see what happens. That's exactly that's what the Dead Kennedys did for me.
Yes.
So
I dig it. What do you think, Rich?
So I'm going to tell a story because I'm fond of telling stories. Yeah, please. In the 7th grade, there was a kid from California, Jeff, who had an older brother, and his older brother had a 12-inch by the Dead Kennedys that had Rawhide, and then we've got Bigger Problems Now. I think Nazi Punks was on there. A version of it because there's several, and the religious songs, because I was a young Catholic boy growing up in Corpus Christi, Texas. I was definitely like Dan said, fear. That's the one thing. Like I gave it back to him. I said, that's too much for me. I can't handle it. So in the 7th grade, I was exposed to the Dead Kennedys, but I rejected it because I thought I didn't understand what they were doing. Like the beginning of Religious Vomit is like, dun, dun. It's a tritone, and it's meant to sound, it's called the satanic chord, I think is what it's called. In the Middle Ages. Well, that's exactly what they're doing, and that's what they're going for. So I, as a young listener thinking, that sounds really demonic, it's like, and this is before I'd ever heard any, like Venom or anything like that. That's when I realized what real demonic music sounds like. But you know what I mean? It's like these guys were actually railing against the power of religion over society, and that kind of message to me at that young age was threatening because as far as I knew, religion was the organizing principle of the world that I was invested in. And so I had to sit there and think about it for a few years. But after I saw a lot of the things that were happening in organized religion, like the televangelists, locally, we had some issues with some of the priests in the Catholic Church and stuff. I started to really kind of, step back from religion and then kind of open my mind up to, punk rock and secular kind of ideals. And so I was just really motivated by the Dead Kennedys in a way that, Bad Brains to me, they're the superior musicians, just untouchable band. But, lyrically, they never really, moved me the way Jello Biafra did with his lyrics. And they were also religious. That was the thing. It was like where, there's that song that MDC did, what is it called? The song about Bad Brains. It's basically the story around it is based on an argument that they had after a show in Austin.
Because the Bad Brains don't like homosexuals or something like that.
No, well, there's that, but just the religious battle. And NBC's Dave says could have been the world's greatest band. But basically what happened was they played together in Austin in 1983 or 84, and they all stayed at Tim Kerr's house. And they ended up arguing over religion in the front yard after the show. Wow. And that song
I remember reading about that,
inspired that the NBC song. And I feel it's very valid. I feel it's very true because, the music is, based on some secular kind of foundation. And, the fact that, the Bad Brains were very religious. They had, Rastafarianism as kind of their guiding principle. You can't separate the two, in my opinion. I look at them very distinctly. I look at, the Dead Kennedys as kind of like the, the archetype archetypal American hardcore band, in the sense that they played faster and more aggressive at a time when it was just starting to really evolve.
Right.
Of course, Minor Threat, and then you had all of the East Coast bands made it much faster. But I mean, at the time, 81, 82, you had like DOA and Dead Kennedys on the West Coast, kind of moving things along in terms of the tempo. And then the other bands were like, we're gonna one up you, man. And all of a sudden, the race, to play faster began. Yeah. And so I kind of view that that frame up right there as it's two different things, because if you ask me who's the better musical band, obviously the Bad Brains. If you ask me who's the more, I guess, important band, like from my perspective, it's the Dead Kennedys.
All right.
See, I don't listen to the lyrics, so I'm only listening to the music. I don't focus.
But the music was frightening to me too. That's the thing. Like, it was just the whole package was just intense. I think that's the word I'm looking for.
I know what you mean, because they did, with him being the owner of the Alternative Tentacles record, gave him full reign on anything they wanted to do on the albums.
Exactly.
I love the artwork.
Plus, they got busted for that H.R. Geiger
Frankenprice,
yeah. And the cops came and busted up his place, and he had to,
no shit.
Yeah, and Tipper Gore said she took credit in ruining his career. He confronted her on Oprah. He's like, he
started a spoken word career and put out a double LP set of him explaining the
court
story,
case,
the court case and everything.
Wow.
So it's very interesting. They lost a lot of money because the lawyers.
I think that's one of the reasons the band broke up, is because of the loss. Oh, I think it was one of the things that led to it.
Yeah.
Basically bankrupted them, more or less. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
They were definitely a special band. And Angelo's got one of those
unique
just
kind
of
name,
voices.
Their name just provokes, Dead Kennedys. What?
Yep. Both bands are a huge part of our American culture. Right. You know what I mean? And,
absolutely.
And you see their logos everywhere.
Yeah.
And especially the Dead Kennedys. Being the
Kennedys. Yeah, so easy to draw, too.
Yes.
Well, Angelo ran for mayor of San Francisco.
Huge.
Yeah,
exactly right.
Who has the guts to do that?
Tell me about it. He really had something to say.
Yeah,
he had a decent showing. I think he came in third or something like that.
Yeah. You know what?
Well, third's not first, but hey, third's still third.
The uniqueness that those guys brought to the table, I don't think has been matched until another band came out called System of a Down. With the uniqueness of that kind of vocals and the political stance that they kind of bring to it, and the kind of off the wall writing that they do. Not that they're identical, but I kind of see them almost being on the same road, almost just like Tool is for Pink Floyd.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like a modern version. Like, you can never repeat that kind of magic that was created, but I almost feel like maybe it's,
why would you want to?
Generations version.
Exactly. Yeah. Every band's got to kind of go with that spark of inspiration that's inside them and kind of moving their own original path, So
I'm just saying, why would you want to ever sound like Pink Floyd?
No, but that's what we're doing. I mean,
we're Pink Floyd. Yeah.
No, but we're doing what Richard said. We have all these influences, and then we're just tapping into this here and there, but we're making it something different.
Exactly, making your own magic out of all the things we grew up listening to. Our ears. And what we kind of want to bring to the table.
We're all thieves.
We're all thieves, exactly, man. Hell
yeah. That's how it works.
Exactly. Wow. That's, I've always heard Black Sabbath's written everything. You know what I mean? Zeppelin's already written everything. But how are we going to do it? And that's the difference. We do it our own way.
Exactly.
I think the kids today are doing just amazing music. It's very, very unique. And the skill level is just mind blowing. These kids with these 7-string guitars.
Tell me about it, dude.
And, I mean, these in 20 song parts, or 20 part songs, it's just like, there's just so much to music nowadays that it's just so much more advanced.
The guitar string industry is making a killing right now, because you got to get like a 30-pack of strings.
That said, it is. I feel like it's for the younger kids. Like me personally, I can watch it and I might be able to listen to a little bit of it, but it's not really, I'm more comfortable with an adolescence record.
Well, I agree with Richard. My thing is like, someone's like, you don't like the new music? I was like, it's not written for me. It's like, I'm not there. I'm not where their heads are at. Just like the stuff that we come up with, it's not going to make sense to them because they're not where we're at. And like, that's a cool thing. It's like, I'm not supposed to like it. Like,
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, we're not the target audience.
Man. I'm going to say it sucks. It just sucks to me. But I always said, you didn't like it.
But you get it.
But by the time I was like, look, man, it doesn't make sense to my ears. It's not your fault. It's mine.
When we were kids, people told us we sucked.
Yeah, exactly.
This
isn't music.
Yeah, my parents. They
back when we had 38 special.
y'all need to add harmonies and turn down the guitars and learn how to play a dance beat. So you can make money.
Why you gotta curse so much?
My parents were not fans of Gerald Alvarez.
I can imagine.
They thought his voice was just like Jello, probably. It was a unique thing that they just could not wrap their minds around, because they always, they were used to singers who, like entertained. Yes. And Gerald was very confrontational, very, like, why does he want to start fights with the crowd? And I'm like, that's just Gerald.
we're just trying to sell records.
He's a hockey fan, by the way.
Yeah, that explains it.
Yeah.
Yep.
What they call it? Full contact guy.
What they call it there's a term for it where you slap shot, or where you start a fight, or what's some hockey terms? Hockey terms?
Slap shot is
that's it.
Yeah,
that's the only term. There's another. I was watching something, and they had some hockey term that perfectly describes Gerald's attitude. I'm just trying to think what it was, but that's neither here nor there.
Guys, I had a great time tonight.
I did too.
Thank you so much.
Yes, man. I'm so glad we finally made some time together. I know me and Dan have been talking about doing the show for at least a year.
But I think this works out perfectly, because it's good to have like this particular lineup.
I dig it. When I was there a couple of weeks ago, and when I heard you guys jamming, and we were in the other room getting our shit together. Hey, who's that over there? I don't know. They sound pretty good. I like that. And then next thing you know, Richard comes out and he's doing something. I say, hey, what's up? And yeah, I'm over there jamming with Dan. And the guy, really? Is that you with them? And I was like, yeah, now's the time.
Yeah, you must be like, so here Richard's in the band. I was like, oh, now you want to talk. I'm just making a joke.
No, but I like to bring it in full circle. You know what I mean? Sometimes it just
the
timing is right.
But this worked out perfectly. This is absolutely perfect.
Great, man.
You're catching us on the cusp of the door just opened.
Yes,
we have a fresh batch.
I know what you mean. And you know what? As I was going through looking up looking for music and stuff, I saw you on guitar, but I automatically thought, just assuming that knowing Richard plays guitar, I thought maybe he was playing guitar for the band and you were on drums. But I didn't get that clear until we sat here today, then I knew that he started playing drums. Like, holy shit! All right.
Nothing but surprises.
I'm telling you, dude. But I mean, the good thing about it is that you guys got some diversity right there. Those different kind of ideas. You on the drums, vice versa on guitar. Who's writing the lyrics, by the way?
Mostly me.
Okay, it's easier that way, right? You're singing them.
I mean, it just depends. I mean, he's kind of the brains behind the lyrics, but he'll pick up on something that I say, right?
Okay.
Or something that somebody else says. Like eventually he'll pick up on something that Rich says, right?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, that's
his antenna is always switched on.
Yeah, that's a title or that's a lyric.
Yeah, it's like
whatever.
It's like that scene in that Family Guy parody of The Doors. Like, what'd you just say? Say that again. They're making fun of The Doors, and Quagmire's playing Ray Manzarek, and Jim Morrison is Peter Griffin, and he just says something stupid, and Quagmire just peers out the window like, what was that? Say it again. He goes, shut the fuck up. But yeah, pretty much the lyrics is just I either read something in a book, I'll write it down, or like
just what you hear somebody say.
Like our first lyric was, I remember the last time I got into a fight, and that was something we asked our first drummer. I said, so when was the last time you've been in a fight? He was like, I don't know. And then like we were just doing something, and then he just stood there. He goes, oh wait, I remember the last time I got in a fight. I was like, that's it.
Yeah, that was our first song.
That was our first lyrics. Like, I remember the last time I was in a fight.
So spiritually, I feel like the band has a Minutemen kind of quality to it, like in terms of the lyrics and the way Dan kind of presents the vocal part. But musically, I think we're doing something that's a lot more modern sounding, and just really kind of, like I said, we kind of have like off tempo pieces, or what am I trying to say? Time signatures. Just
make it interesting, and it's just hilarious. It's like in that movie Hype, where King Buzzo was like, it's a complete ridiculousness. Just see what we can get away with, like see what if it works. Like, hey, check, they bought it. They fucking bought it.
They liked it. Yeah.
No, it's not clever. It's stupid. It's stupid. You're missing the point.
And Dan's got this really intense work ethic, which he did not have when we were working together in Real Gone Commandos. There's a different period in his life, and I recognize that. But in this band, he is kind of the workhorse champion. Like he'll say, all right, that's pretty good. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. And we'll do it like 5 times. And I've never been in a band where like the band just keeps playing the same song until it just locks in like that. And so I'm very excited. That kind of inspires me to just become a better player.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Like that work ethic.
Yeah, you got to.
Keeping it hard, keeping it tight.
Like Greg Ginn, you know, like practice 8 hours a day. We're not doing that.
Yeah. We're not doing that.
Well, but that we talked about that. That's an inspiration for us from the very beginning.
I mean, you got to go out there like. I mean, everyone has a plan until they get hit, but it helps if you at least have something. Like you talked about. Yeah. If anything else, at least have that Misfits covered.
And we like the Melvins too. So the Buzzos are inspiration to us too.
Yeah. Just like you got to hammer at it. I mean, otherwise, what's the point? I want to waste anyone's time. People have things to do.
That's right. Make it worth their time. Leave an impression. Leave them wanting more. Guys, we're getting ready to wrap things up. I just want to give a shout out to anybody that came into the chat room. So shout out to Sergio and Richard and Rafael and Marcus. Thanks a lot for joining us tonight, guys. And before we wrap things up, Gerald, thanks for being my guest tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Man, it's been great. Man, Dan, thanks for being here. Richard, thanks for joining me tonight.
Absolutely.
Next show's coming up June 29th, right?
Yes, sir. Black Monk Tavern.
Black Monk Tavern. And with the
Hickoids,
Death Row Romeos, Hellgrim, and TBA Texas Noise.
Shoot, 5 big bands.
It's a festival.
You can't beat it at Black Monk Tavern. You know,
free.
Exactly.
Free, yeah.
It should be a great turnout. June 29th is a Saturday. Guys, come check them out. And what's the easiest way to get in touch with you guys? Is there a Instagram for the band or anything like that?
We got Instagram, Action Get Action.
Hey, all right, kick ass.
And then,
all right.
We got a Facebook group called Friends of Action.
I thought it was Friends of Get Action. Right?
Yeah, Friends of Get Action.
That.
Yeah, we got that. And then we also have another Facebook page that's for Action Get Action. You can get a hold of us there.
Kick ass. Well, guys,
or you can just look at Dan Pretzer. You can hit me up.
There you go. You can hit.
I pretty much
get directly.
I pretty much manage the bookings and stuff like that. So
yeah.
I handle all the hate mail.
That's all good. We'll definitely hook up with Dan Pretzer on your Facebook, all right, and look up the band on Instagram, all right, and check them out. June 29th, they're going to be banging over Black Monk Tavern. Guys, thanks for joining us tonight on the Tony Gomez Show, and we will hopefully see you guys on the 29th, all right? Take care, guys, and we will see you guys next time on the Tony Gomez Show. I'm going to be going live Thursday with Getald Betty from the legendary thrash band from Hyrax. Yes, so he'll be on the show on
Blasted
Thursday.
in Bangkok.
Yes, hell yeah. We'll be seeing you soon. Nice. Take care. Have a good night. We'll see you the next show.
Really? You're going to do